After a long day, LA taxi driver Max is about to knock off when sharp-suited Vincent offers him $600 to make 5 stops. Sounds good until Vincent turns out to be a merciless hitman and each one of those stops involves a hit. As the night goes on, Max starts to wonder if he'll live to see the sunrise as the pair are hunted by the police and the FBI. Welcome to a very special feature presentation of Midnight Double Feature, and on this episode, we're talking Collateral, directed by Michael Mann. Collin, yo homie.
Hey, what's up?
How you doing?
I'm good, buddy. How are you doing?
I'm good, dude. I feel a presence. I feel like we're being watched. I feel like we're not alone in this room. Like I hear heavy breathing. I hear heavy breathing. Like it's just creepy. Like I feel like Michael Myers is watching us. Can you feel that too?
Oh yeah, it's on the back of my neck. That's lovely.
Yeah, the hairs on the back of my neck are standing up. But no, well, of course we're talking about not only our guest. I was about to say guest, but he's a regular of the show now. He's going to be on more and more feature presentations and helping around with the podcast. He's officially part of our squad. If you didn't see that on the art, fuck you. Danny Hartley, welcome.
Woo! Thank you. Hey everybody.
Hey everybody. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you guys doing?
Good.
We're fucking swell. We are swell. We are.
Thanks for the promotion, by the way. I didn't get to.
That's all good. We thought we'd stop feeding you scraps in the background and just kind of like bring you up to the main show.
I've never had a job where I had to pay you guys to work there, so this is different.
Oh boy! All right, dude, we're fucking talking Collateral. Collateral by Michael fucking Mann. The first Michael Mann movie to be covered on the podcast. Danny, you're you're the newbie, so I want you to kick this off. What are your thoughts? Your opening thoughts on Collateral. Give us your background on this movie, like if you remember when you first saw it and shit like that. Where you stand on like Michael Mann, even where you stand on Tom Cruise, because I know Tom Cruise is a bit of a character. So
I think you probably read my mind, because how I would set up describing this movie to me and how perfect it is at the very first time I would ever do anything like this on a podcast is also like parallels that. This is the first movie that I had ever seen that made me actually more interested in just like watching a movie and actually seeing things that are kind of going on in the background, messages that you're trying to like receive from like a director, the way that they filmed it. It sounds really artsy, and I don't know, in a way, describing it that way, it even sounds artsy to me, but I don't consider it like that. It's just it makes it much more interesting to watch a movie and makes it much more rewatchable too. So. Collin and I have a mutual friend. His name was Daniel Carr, and I was actually spending the night at his house one night, and he put this in, and he's like, "This movie's called Collateral. It's got Jamie Foxx and Tom Cruise." And again, you brought up one of your other points is Tom Cruise. So when he said Tom Cruise, I was like, "Oh," because I had seen some of the Mission Impossible movies. I'd seen some earlier stuff, and sometimes you have conversations with people, right? And they're not looking like directly at you. You're not even really conversing with them. They're just kind of like in your area. And you can tell that when they're talking to somebody else, they're kind of like looking at you out of the side of their periph the whole time they're talking to see if like they also have your attention too. I feel like that's how Tom Cruise is when he's on camera. Like he's trying to make sure that you're staring at him when the camera's on him, and it always bothered me. But this is the first time that I've ever seen a movie with him in it that maybe it was because they made him not look like Tom Cruise at all. This is probably the first time, the only instance other than maybe like Tropic Thunder where he doesn't look anything like his kind of cliche look. And but I think maybe that helped a little bit, but also just the way that Michael Mann kind of directed the whole thing and handled them is kind of like the trifecta of that. So I really like Michael Mann. That was the first person that I'd ever known the name of the director of that wasn't somebody like George Lucas or like Steven Spielberg. I didn't know any kind of like I didn't have any film buff background. I'm not sure. I could probably say I still do, maybe compared to you guys, but that was my intro into really liking movies. That was my intro into finally accepting Tom Cruise. I'd never seen Jamie Foxx in anything. I just heard him in music. That's like my other probably huge passion. Another reason Collin and I are good friends, because he and I both bond over collective music. So, the way that just everything came together with that movie with Michael Mann and how it looked. I never seen a movie that was just like shot really late at night and kind of made you feel cozy when you were watching it, and it was just neat. So that got me interested in it, and I'm glad that it's actually our first one to talk about, because I'll never sound more intelligent about a movie than I probably do now. So it's all downhill from here from me if that's why you're here right now.
All right, starting strong and then fucking declining over as time goes on. I like it. Collin, latest. What are your thoughts on this movie? This is. I can't believe you. I have a lot to say about you and not seeing this movie. But anyway, come on.
Never seen it before today. Never.
Son of a bitch.
Did never, and it's so funny because I would put Heat in easily like my top. I want to say my top 5, but probably my top 10. And I didn't really discover Heat until my early 20s. I was probably like 22 or 23.
I saw it last year for the first time, so don't feel bad.
Yeah,
damn,
but, dude, I'd never really seen it before. I remember always being it was at Unlimited Video in my hometown of Gallatin, Tennessee, and I saw it on VHS on the rack, and I remember looking at that and going, "What is that?" Because just the blue of it, Robert De Niro's glasses and those round 90s as fuck glasses. I was just immediately pulled to it, and it was just one of those movies that I was always like, well, I need to watch that someday. And eventually I did, and it just blew my fucking mind. It was such a great movie. But that was really my first introduction to Michael Mann. Obviously, did Miami Vice back in the day. I've actually got Manhunter here, and I still haven't watched it. I've had it for like a month, and I still have not watched it yet. I really want to see it because it's got Brian Cox as Hannibal Lecter, and with Michael Mann directing. I'm like, dude, that's gonna be really good. But really, I do like this movie. It's a great movie. I own it. I bought it without even seeing it because I knew the reputation of it. I was like, this is Michael Mann. I love the way that Tom Cruise looks in this movie. I mean, and I hate to say it, it's because I saw Heat first, and I love Robert De Niro's Neil McCauley, and that is just one of the best fictional portrayals of a character ever. He kills that movie, but there's something about him that undeniably a resemblance between him and Vincent in this movie. But it's more so, I think, for utility's sake. Michael Mann has said that Tom Cruise looked like somebody who could just blend into a crowd like that. The gray suit, he's he's nondescript, and that's the whole point of Neil McCauley as well. It's kind of like Denzel Washington in American Gangster, where he's pissed off about, flaunting like the fur and like the expensive stuff because it calls you out. You draw attention to yourself. Don't do that. And I love that, it's practical and makes sense when you live in this kind of environment and you're in this type of work that these guys are in. I like the movie a lot. I've actually only got it on DVD. I really want to get it on Blu-ray, but I will say,
here we go, Danny. Strap yourself in. Yourself in.
I will say that I almost love it, but it's
I'm already triggered.
I almost love it, but it was a tad overhyped for me, and it's just a hair. I mean, talking like 2% overhyped for me, because while it is a fucking awesome movie, and I'm very glad that I own it, and I absolutely will be watching it again, it was just overhyped a little bit. Like, I felt like I was going to get something on the level of Heat, but I'm almost at a crossroads because my preconceived notions of Michael Mann and seeing something like Heat, which is, the ultimate crime, like epic, fucking saga. This movie is so much more simpler than that. And I think it's a testament to Michael Mann that he can shoot a movie like Heat on such a grand scale like that, and then do something like this that's so simple. There's not a bunch of explosions. There's not a big rig knocking over an armored car. I think it's a testament to...
I don't even know what you're referring to.
You don't even. He's talking about Heat, and you don't even in Heat. You learn like the entire family history of like their barber and like where they adopted their children from and the cats. Like,
it's wide.
Collateral, the cool thing that's underlying about the way Michael Mann wrote this, and sorry to cut in, Collin, was that he kind of like he referred to it as like a torn off start or something. I'd have to look back at how he quoted it, but that's how he wanted it to feel, so that you didn't have like that character build up. So
right, yeah, and that's what I love about it. Other than that, I mean, it was just a little overhyped for me, but it's underrated to say in the least. I know that a lot of people do like this movie, but for me, just because of my close group of people, they kind of overrated it for me. But in a general public sense, it is an underrated movie, and I wish it got a little bit more exposure. But other than that, I fucking love it. You know, this is a really, really great movie.
Good to fucking hear.
Did you go see Taken with us in theaters, Collin?
I
a
did.
Long time ago?
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day, yeah.
I think about this sometimes. I think one of the reasons we were so impressed with it is because we went in 100% blind. We had no idea what that movie was about, and it blew us away. We had no idea Liam Neeson could be a badass, right? So maybe kind of like overhyping it for you is like, maybe if we didn't even tell you anything, you might have liked it a lot more,
right,
like out of the gate.
Right, exactly. I would have no expectations.
Yeah, sometimes hype can be a bitch. It does ruin expectations sometimes and shit like that. I think with Collateral, one of the things is it's very hard to find someone who doesn't like this movie, and I think that kind of adds to it, like this whole kind of like widespread, I really like that movie. Whereas a lot of people wouldn't say it's the best movie of all time, but they all just kind of agree that it's like really good. And I think that kind of like adds to the hype. And I completely get what you mean, Collin. Hype does sometimes destroy things, especially like, I mean, come on, this movie's nearly 15 years old. Like when you come out a movie that's like been out for that long and like has like garnered this like kind of like cult status, then you might be a little disappointed because you might be expecting a bit more, but yeah, man, Collateral, holy shit.
One thing I will say that I forgot a second ago is the film. Whereas you watch something like Heat, it feels actually a little bit dated. But something like this, because this is what year did this come out exactly?
2004.
2004. So yeah, something like this where we've got cell phones and a little bit in the advancement of technology and stuff like that. That's the one thing that I will say that it's got a little bit more over Heat is that it doesn't feel dated. The only times the movie does feel dated, I fucking hate the Audio Slave songs in this fucking movie, dude. I cannot I don't mind Audio Slave. I actually don't. I like Soundgarden. I like Rage Against the Machine. I like I like both those bands separately, and I even like Audio Slave, but not. I mean, in the middle of the movie, I was like, wow, this is so 2003, dude. That's the first thing that I fucking thought. Like the cell phone's bad enough. I can forgive your fucking 1950s Korean War walkie-talkie cell phone that you have, this huge thing, but the fucking soundtrack. I was like, dude, because without those, you never know. It could have been somebody, hey, you got to put these in the movie somewhere, blah, blah, blah. I doubt that's the case, but you never know. But I mean,
I can't tell you.
Oh God, dude, because the score.
Here it is.
Oh, go ahead.
I love that part.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
Yeah. Keep going.
But yeah, I was just going to say the score to this movie is fucking great, and there's parts of this that are reminiscent to me of it's at the very end of Heat. It's after the fight between De Niro and Al Pacino, and it's by Moby. I think it's called like God Over the Face of the Water, but it is fucking insane. Like the way that track builds is, I mean, it's so perfect for cinema, which is why I was like, dude, there's parts of that in this movie, but then this Audio Slave pops up, and I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, that's just weird. That just threw me out of it a little bit. But other than that,
it might be an early 2000s thing, to be honest. Yeah. Fucking Collateral, man. Jesus Christ. This was the first Michael Mann movie I'd ever seen in my life. I hadn't seen Heat by this point. I definitely watched this somewhere around the time it came out. I believe it was a new release, and I remember renting it from fucking Blockbuster with my dad. He's like, this movie's rated MA. What the fuck are we doing watching this movie? MA, by the way, is R for you guys.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Australia.
Australia, yeah. So we watched it, man, and I fucking loved it. Like it was so simple, and I think the simplicity of it really, really adds to the movie. Like, I mean, I love that they don't give you too much. They don't give you this massive backstory on Vincent, or they don't give you this massive backstory on Max. Even though behind the scenes, you know, they were given backstories. Apparently, Michael Mann wrote backstories for those two, like for them, like so the actors could work off something. But this movie, man, this was the first time I'd been exposed to gunfire in Michael Mann movies. Holy shit!
Loud as fuck. It startles you.
I went deaf, man. Like the first instance of gunfire in this movie is that outstanding scene that we'll get to, the yo homie scene, and just the way the gunfire just echoes, man. And then like after watching this, I sought out Heat, and then I watched Heat, and I was like, this movie is incredible. But one of the things that this movie has over Heat that I really like about this is the simplicity. Like, Heat does get a little convoluted sometimes. Like, there are a lot of motivation. There are a lot of characters, and each one of them has different motivations and things like that. But look, don't get me wrong, I love Heat. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's actually, overall, it's a better movie than this.
You just don't always have 3 hours to kill.
Right, that's 100%. And then that shootout sequence is Heat is out. It's to this day, it's unrivaled.
No, hold on, real quick, just to say, you don't always have 3 hours to kill unless you want to start a podcast, you know.
Yeah, unless you want to start a podcast, then you have 4 hours to kill.
Right? I was say, oh my god.
I'll see you guys later.
See you, man. But yeah, and then I sought out Michael Mann movies. A lot of people don't like it, but I like Public Enemies. Have you guys seen that?
Oh, is that the one with Johnny Depp?
Yeah, that's Johnny Depp, Christian Bale. It's the one with John Dillinger.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I mean, I haven't seen later. He's very inconsistent with the quality of his movies. I haven't seen Miami Vice, but I heard it's not that great. Black Hat, apparently with Chris Hemsworth, is not that great. But have you seen that, Danny? Is it?
No, I was really anxious to go see it, and then I'm a sucker for reviews. So when I started seeing reviews pop up for it, both from like critics and people that are not critics, saying that it wasn't good, and it felt kind of like patched together.
Yeah,
I didn't bother to go see it in theaters because, again, who has 3 hours to go?
Exactly. I was talking to Matt on our last upcoming attractions episode. Reviews don't always they're not the deciding factor for me to go watch a movie, but if they're all skewed negatively or if they're all skewed positively, then I'll be like, okay, I'm going to temper my expectations.
I always wanted to start in the after-party discussion. I treat that as a forum, even though it's a Facebook page, just to get people talking on there.
Yeah.
I always wanted to post one on there of what your favorite, just horrifically panned, negative reviewed movie is that you just are just standing next to the death because you like it so much. So
I don't know
what I'd pick now. But
I need time on that one.
Yeah.
I like Ali with Will Smith. Really good movie. I mean, mainly because my name's Ali. That's not the main reason. Dude, everyone seems to forget about The Last of the Mohicans. I fucking love that movie. Great fucking movie.
I've never seen that.
Good movie, dude. Check it out. Come on, dude. You're American. What are you doing?
It's my shame.
American.
My shame.
I know. But yeah, man. Collateral is just outstanding. I remember this is the first time I was like, why does this movie look weird, visually? And then I noticed that it's a Michael Mann thing. He shoots on digital.
Yep.
So it kind of gives this grainy. It's called noise. So it's like a grainy sort of feel to it. It looks very low definition. It looks like the opposite of what a 4K movie is. Not in terms of resolution, but in terms of just the way they're
pixelated.
See, it's not even pixelated though. It's more like it's not grainy. It's it's not cleaned up. It looks like it's filmed with a home camera.
Yeah, I guess we know that the effect is just to make it feel a little bit more authentic because a lot of times when you have scenes in movies at night, you don't even think about the fact that you're able to see them and it's nighttime outside most of the time, unless it's like an effect in the movie where it's like they're dark and on purpose and they're sneaking around or something. But most of the time in nighttime scenes, it's just so well lit because it's Hollywood. But the reality is it's usually not that easy to see, outside, especially like kind of where they're filming a lot of times in the movie. So it makes it feel much more authentic. And I think the way Collin was earlier saying that it didn't feel like it aged much, if that's how you put it. I don't know. I feel like that maybe helps with it. It doesn't feel as old because it feels the same way then as it does now.
Right, and it definitely adds to the aesthetic because, I mean, the story that they're telling is dark. Like, if you kind of had like a cleaned up movie, it wouldn't really go well with the story that they're telling. Like, it complements it, I think. Dude, Tom Cruise, holy fucking shit. I'm on record on this podcast as being a pretty big Tom Cruise fan in terms of actors. Like I don't care if you believe in aliens and Xenu and shit. Like, that's your personal life. Like, I don't care if you're
you
Scientologist.
Know a lot of these. Know a lot about this, Zoheb.
Scientology. Dude, I've seen some documentaries, man. There's some fucking crazy shit. I'm not going to get into that here because, hey, you believe in whatever you want to believe in. But yeah, man, this Tom Cruise to me is outstanding. He gives it 100% in any of his roles that I've seen. Like, he's got a wide range, man. Like, you were talking about Les Grossman from Tropic Thunder, like, Jesus Christ. And then compare it to something like this, where he is outright horrifying. Like, you can see him like calculating the different exits and looking at the different possible witnesses,
There's several character developments for everybody in this movie, but one thing that is steadfast and steady the whole time is his focus. He is never like offbeat.
Right.
It's intimidating. It's good.
Unless it's something that he doesn't expect. And we'll get to those points because, like, when he cracks, when he breaks, he plays it so well. Like, you are screwing with my work. Like, oh, man. He gives an outstanding performance, I think, man. And, like, he's just this is absolutely his movie. Jamie Foxx is pretty good in this movie as well, and he gives a great performance. But I think, man, when you're next to someone like Tom Cruise, and someone like Tom Cruise, he gives a performance like this. I think this is a career performance for Tom Cruise. I can't think of a better performance that he's given. Maybe Eyes Wide Shut with the sex cults, but but yeah, man. This is an outstanding movie. I'm so glad to cover this movie. It's the simplicity works for it. I do have a couple of problems we'll touch on. Mainly because I don't think killing the prosecutor of your case holds off an entire trial, but we'll get to that. I'm sorry, but you're still getting done. Maybe killing the witnesses. That because everyone's gonna wake up after this morning and be like, hey, and everyone in the fucking trial on the prosecution side died overnight.
Is that who he was killing? I thought Vince was killing his family members this whole time. I was like, he's got a diverse family. I didn't know that it had anything to do with the court case.
He's got like it's just all his children.
It's like he's a strange, like, weird family. They actually did it that way because they were going to do a prequel where, like, you saw how they're all connected.
No, Jesus Christ. But yeah, man, that's my thoughts on this, man. So glad to cover this movie. So glad to jump into Michael Mann's little, I guess cinematography or whatever the fuck, a resume. What do you guys think about just jumping into this bitch?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Let's fucking do it. Okay, I want to see, Collin, what did you think of this airport sequence and our little guest star?
Well, I like that it's Jason Statham. Some people have outright said this is the character from Transporter. I mean, I don't know.
I like to think that it is. I like to think that it is.
Right. Yeah. I did Michael Mann have anything to do with this movie? Did he direct them or produce them at all? I don't really know.
Transporter.
I don't
think so.
Transporter and Collateral are unconnected in every single way. They're not connected by film studio, by writer, any of that.
They're completely unconnected, except for the time period that they came out. I think Transporter was just a little bit before this, so it kind of like established the character of Frank from that movie. So
I've also seen another theory where people said that he was supposed to be his character from Stocked, Locked, and Two Smoking Barrels. I've never seen it.
Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
But they said it made more sense that that would be him, because if you've watched the Transporter, you realize that he never touches the stuff that he transports. So he would have never taken any of that shit to Tom Cruise in the middle of fucking LAX when he's in Italy.
I like it. I like that it's, regardless, it's like, oh, okay, cool. It's Jason Statham, and not really being anybody else but Jason Statham, I liked it. I like nobody but Michael Mann can make a city look like he makes it look, especially at night. And during these scenes during the day, you see so much of it, but there's so much that he captures about a city that's great. I love the beginning of this because it's something that Christopher Nolan also took a lot of inspiration from when they were making The Dark Knight. Apparently, Christopher Nolan would just sit down and show them this and Blade Runner and go, "That's the kind of movie we're going to make." And I was like, "Wow, that's fucking awesome." But you can really feel it that the whole city, it's a character. It's not just the playground. It's not just the backdrop. It is a character in and of itself. And I love that, and I think we see that a lot in The Dark Knight as well. Gotham feels like a living, breathing entity. And I think especially showing it because this movie, I think it takes place over January 24th and 25th. It's just literally like just not even a full 24 hours, honestly. But I like that, and it doesn't feel, it feels just like, by the end of it, it just feels like one long-ass day. That's honestly what it feels like. You've been on such a ride the whole time. You're like, man, this really does feel like keeping in time. And there's some movies you feel like, dude, it was just night. Now it's like now it's like dawn. What the hell just happened?
When Jamie Foxx's shift starts, it's still the afternoon. He's still driving around. The sun's going down in L.A. And then at the end of the movie, they're walking off the bus platform, and the sun's coming back up.
Yeah, it's like 5.
I love that.
Yeah, but I like it a lot, especially like this cameo and stuff. But just the way Michael Mann makes the city look is beautiful, and it just
outstanding.
Yeah, it's great. It's fucking so good.
By the way, there's a little like connection to Heat. This movie opens.
I did the double take to my microphone for no reason. I'm curious too.
There's a little So this movie opens in an airport and ends at the MTA, whereas Heat opens at the MTA and ends in the airport. I just thought this.
Fucker, that's awesome.
Just thought it was cool, man. Like it's fucking, it's awesome. It's a nice little nod.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude. But yeah, you totally hit the nail on the head, man. This movie just makes. He's just got such a boner for LA in Heat and in this. Like he fucking loves that city. He makes it.
Yeah,
he makes
it
look
originally made for New York, and then
really?
Yeah, that's what I was reading. Yeah, that they changed it up, and he was just like, "Fuck it, I'll go back to L.A."
And you know what, man? Watching this movie after actually visiting LA, it feels more. I'm like nodding at some of the shit. Like later, there's a scene where Vincent, when he gets in the car and he's like, I hate LA, it's too sprawled out. I'm like, yes, I totally agree, man. Because like, as a tourist, it is so fucking difficult to get from one place in LA to another. Like, it was Jesus. But yeah, like you pretty much get a sense of Max's day. He's fucking over it. He's checking the his overhead little dashboard at just the island.
Maldives.
The Maldives. But I guess the movie really starts when he picks up Annie, right? The beautiful DA Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yeah, I like what we see of Jamie Foxx. We see that he's clean. We see that he's meticulous, and
yes.
Not only that, but I think it's great. I think Jamie Foxx has a tough issue because he's a normal guy. He's just playing an every guy. I mean, I feel like I worked with this guy or work with this guy.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, this guy just feels like some dude, this guy named Sean at work or something, just feels like some guy that I work with, he's just simple, nice guy, and I think opposite that, you've got, he's just kind of, I don't know, the contrast between Max and Vincent are so crazy because Vincent's just so hyper focused. The best thing that I drew away, or the biggest thing that I drew away from him, was just the fact that it was like he was like T-1000 to me. Like, especially in the chase scenes when he's running, he's like a fucking shark, man. And
Tom Cruise running,
dude.
That's the thing.
It was honestly, I was like, dude, he's giving me like anxiety. Like, he's moving so fast. I was like, I'm getting like anxious here. But especially when you've got a character like Max who, he doesn't have that kind of hyper focus that Vincent has. So I think that's what makes their chemistry so great. But Vincent just doesn't have that everyman kind of thing that Max has. So I think it's hard to hold a candle to Vincent because, we're used to seeing people like Max. We're not used to seeing people like Vincent. So he's got a little bit of an uphill battle, but he plays it well, and I think he knocks it out.
Yeah,
I did leave something out of my opening thoughts. And look, I don't want to spend too much time on this because I don't want to bring it back. But a lot of this movie, when I was younger, I was like, what is... I found it cool, like, all the action... I guess you can call them action sequences, but the shootouts and shit like that were awesome. And the simplicity of it was awesome. But, like, watching it this time, I was like, what is this movie actually about? Like, what is Michael Mann trying to say? And, like, the things that I kind of, like, pulled out were, like, okay, Vincent is really, really good at his job. Max is really, really good at his job. And they're both sort of like loners. They're both so kind of like obsessed with like what they do and where they want to, like, just to complete their goals, that they're both alone. Is that sort of like what the movie is like, kind of like talking about?
Yeah, because the only distinction that you get between the two of them is the like will to act on something, right? Because Tom Cruise is where he's at because he takes action, right? Jamie Foxx, how long has he been driving that cab around when he asks him?
12 years.
12 years.
Yeah, fucking 12 years. A temporary job.
That's a long time for you not to be able to put down a loan on a Lincoln Town Car. I mean, I think he even says that earlier. That is a long time.
That is a fucking long time, man. Jesus Christ.
So that almost in a way, that's kind of, I don't know if that's a message or not. I'm just saying that that's probably one massive difference. But other than just their career choices, of course, there's a little bit difference in their career choice between, navigating LA and killing people.
There's one thing I want to point out. When Jada's on the phone and she's talking about transcriptions and shit, and then Jamie Foxx like guesses that, she's a lawyer, and she's like surprised that he knew. I'm like, how do you, like, you were just talking about transcriptions and all that and like legal shit. I'm like, it's not a leap. It's not a leap to guess that you're a lawyer. I'm sorry.
She's like,
well, I mean, he's probably driven around several, legal background people in 12 years of being in somewhere like LA.
She's like, I have to be in court tomorrow because I'm a lawyer and I do lawyer things. He turns around, he's like, are you a lawyer?
Justice is blind. Yeah, but dude, we get the sense immediately that Jamie, he's, I don't want to keep calling him Jamie. Sorry, Max. Max is immediately so efficient at his job. Like he wants to take the highways, whereas Jada wants to. God damn it! I keep doing actress names. Annie wants to take surface streets, and they make a bet, and turns out Jamie's fuck.
Go sit in the corner. It's okay.
Max is right. Max is right. And they have a little cute moment. She gives Max nice. she gives Max her card, and little bit of fucking winky dink.
So I want to give some credit to Mann here, because something really neat that he does, again, big music background. When you're getting introduced to Jamie Foxx, even whenever it goes into like that taxi station, that terminal. There's just a ton of different music that's playing, right? And every single time that it almost switches camera views, sometimes they'll go out of his cab and show him going down an off-ramp, and the music changes. It's trying to like kind of set up for the kind of diversity that he has to put up with in a day. He sounds like this arguing couple in the back, which I looked up. I thought they were special, and I think they are. They're actors and other things, but stuff I honestly haven't watched that I think everybody else has, like Entourage. But anyway, I like the way that, and Collin was talking about this earlier, I didn't want to pass over it. Collin was saying that he does a really good job helping you understand and feel like you've known Jamie for a very long time, and he's barely been on screen for like 2 minutes by that point. And he does that by, like, that torn edge effect is what I was trying to say earlier. He gives that film the torn edge effect by helping you absorb all these other things that they're showing you while they're building up to you to show you Max, right?
Yeah, it feels very lived in,
you're
right?
Like, he's surrounded by several different, ethnicities. He's very clean and thorough with his car. He shuts the door and he's like relieved that he's by himself. You can tell he doesn't want to be around other people to that level of degree. And then the great thing about the way that he opens up to Annie throughout this cab ride, you get to feel like you're a little bit closer to him. But it's a stark contrast, as you guys said earlier, because whenever Tom Cruise gets in the car, you realize that their structure, their conversation, and like their banter really isn't much different. But he doesn't tell Tom. I'm sorry, I'm doing what I was doing. Caught me. He doesn't talk to Vincent the same way he talks to Annie. He doesn't even tell him about the limo, idea that he has.
It's very cagey, yeah.
Yeah, you can tell there's a little bit of animosity already, almost the way that they're talking. So,
but would you say maybe that's like a thing where, come on, I mean, it's a pretty girl. Like,
yeah. I mean, I imagine that he was, probably trying to get some chemistry there. So it's not like that's just going to sail right over our heads. But yeah, I don't think he's hitting on Tom Cruise unless I really missed some signals in this. He was playing hardball. He didn't take him into his cab. He was acting like he didn't see him. He's like, hey, you know what? I guess I can take him.
That's one of my favorite moments. That's one of my favorite moments because it's like Max was so close to avoiding everything that happened this entire night.
Two close instances. What was just happening right before he almost didn't get into that cab? She's going up the escalator and he's coming down after he's scoping out that building. So you're just like, man, there's so many close calls the way that this night kind of perfectly came together in the worst way possible.
And that's the way shit happens sometimes, man. I mean, you could say that just for a story writing perspective, I mean, like, maybe there are too many close calls and too many coincidences, but I mean, sometimes shit like this just fucking happens. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everything just...
Yeah, it's just like last week, I got on the bus, and there was a guy that was trying to hijack the driver. Like, that just...
Holy
get it,
shit.
It happens. No.
I was like, holy, whoa. I know you were in Detroit recently, but fuck.
No. It's like the perfect storm, right? Like, the perfect storm of bad shit, and it just creates, like, this massive, like...
How coincidental is it that you would be able to, well, I can't jump ahead that far into the movie, but... if there's going to be a gripe that anybody has in terms of trying to patch a story together, like, really well, he does a great job in this. But if it was anybody else filming it or writing it, other than Michael Mann and like Stuart Beattie, the way they did that, it might have seemed like too long of a shot. But I'm noting that we'll get there. We'll get there.
By the way, seeing as you name dropped him, Stuart fucking Beattie, Australian.
I knew you were going to say something about it.
Well, so there's 2 Americans and 1 Australian, so we're only going to spend 1/3 of the time talking about Australian talent. And then, no,
where's fucking Matt? I'm going to call him.
But I never knew anything about him until I was looking through his Wikipedia stuff. But I think something that he made that I am absolutely in love with is Curse of the Black Pearl. He worked on the script for that. That was the one that stuck out to me. So I was like, awesome. Anyway.
Yeah, he's had some big writing credits. But yeah, man.
Something else. Sorry, he points out the way they start that conversation is he goes, she's like, can you turn that up? He's like, you like the classics? Did you look this up, Collin? I feel like this is something you'd do.
No, actually, I didn't.
Okay, so that song came out that year. So
that's fucking hilarious.
The first thing that I caught, and I was like, "Son of a bitch! How did I find that?" Groove Armada, Hands of Time. But the guy that's actually singing in that is an old jazz musician. He's really famous for opening Woodstock. So that might be why she kind of says, "Is this a classic?" He's featured on there, but of course he's not part of Groove Armada.
Okay.
I had a question for you guys. Cruz's character Vincent. Did you guys struggle with? Not struggle, because I think it's actually the way the character is written. Like determining what was a lie and what was truth. I feel like nothing he says is truth. I feel like he's trying to maintain this facade. Like he's trying to maintain his anonymity. And I'm not sure whether he actually kind of like takes a liking to Max at all. Like it feels like he does, but I'm not sure if any of it's genuine. I don't. What do you guys reckon? He's kind of like he's very hard to read.
No, I don't think it's genuine at all. I think this is because we even hear Mark Ruffalo talk about, what is it, like 2 different cabbies, or maybe one that went through and killed 3 people and then shot themselves, Right, yeah. So this is going to be the case with Max as well, and we know that. We know that early on because Mark Ruffalo says that very early on in this movie. But I feel like just because this is pretend this is a job, and these are the people that you're working with, and just because you get along at work does not mean that you go and hang out outside of work. Like this may be just them just getting, they're just kind of getting along.
Full on optimist over here.
Yeah, right, for sure. But there's just people you just work with, and it just doesn't work outside of work, hanging out with people. And I think that's just kind of the same thing with these guys. I think that for one thing, Vincent has done this thousands of times. Probably he doesn't give a fuck about Max. He's like, that's it. Like he says, I'm just collateral. It's like, dude, you've seen me, you know who I am. Like, you know what I do. Like, I don't think Vincent would ever fully envelop anybody else in his lifestyle if he wasn't willing to execute them. Wasn't willing to be able to make sure they never talked about him ever. And I think that's, he even says somewhat in the movie, I'm just indifferent. It doesn't really matter what I think. And I think he would be the kind of guy. I feel like at some point I was expecting a line from Max to, because but I think he does say something at some point like, why don't you just shoot me then? And I think that, it's a great point. Why doesn't he just shoot him? Because he could just go get another, taxi to go and do it. But at the same time, I think that there's something about, Max where it's like, he's kind of like, Vincent kind of gets into his head where he's like, well, if I don't do this, he probably will just go get somebody else to do this eventually. But why isn't he? And I don't think it's really because Vincent likes him. I don't know if it's just something that Vincent enjoys, like he enjoys toying with him, or he just wants to he seems like he wants to keep this all kind of contained, and the less people that know about it, the better. So no, I don't think so.
He's got to have a fall guy, right? So if there's no body to turn up that committed all of it, whenever he leaves town, they're going to look for somebody that left town, or at least they would look for him in general, right? So I don't know. That would be my argument for maybe trying to justify that. But the other thing he brings up is that he's got a flight, and it's a tight time, right? He's like, might not be able to make it, and very early on, Max is naming it down to 7-minute transit times to be able to say that he's going to be able to get around all these places pretty quick. So, and rewinding just a second, something for you guys to think about is you would have to assume that that's not the first taxi that he took when he showed up in town. Because how did Vincent get from the airport to Annie's office? So they talked about that in the commentary. They said that it was something that you would have to assume that whenever Vincent took the first cab ride, he actually didn't like the driver and he didn't like the way that they handled traffic. So he decided to just let them go and try and it was like with another cab.
Oh, shit.
Enter Max.
That's fucking cool, man.
Yeah. I never ever thought about that until I listened to the commentary. Yeah. By the way, on record, this is the first time I've ever listened to commentary on a film. That shows you how much I like this.
I just assumed that Tom Cruise ran there with his amazing legs of the T-1000.
It would take him like 10 minutes, and those two buildings can't be close to each other.
Dude, that motherfucker could deliver.
It'll take him a minute.
That motherfucker I was just saying, he could fucking deliver pizzas, like running like that.
I was gonna say, man, this guy's like fucking Usain Bolt. Like, he can just run.
When we saw Mission Impossible 3, there's a scene at the very end, he's running through that town, and that was the first time J.J. Abrams shooting like this like 20-second scenes where he's booking it, and I was like, shit, Tom Cruise can fucking sail through.
Trust me, man. Mission Impossible 3, I've fucking name dropped that movie on the podcast so many times because it
was the turning point.
Yeah, man, it was. It 100% was. We'll fucking talk about that at a later date, man.
Let's go. Where are we at?
I think it's noteworthy to bring up. Vincent offers Max the $600 after he finds out that Max is also efficient at his job. I think that's a really like noteworthy point because Vincent is thinking, okay, this cab driver's a lot better than the other fucking cab driver or any other cab driver that I've really kind of come across. So I'm going to use him as an accomplice to help me get throughout the night. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, right. He wants someone that's like equally proficient.
Yeah, exactly.
And he appeals to his wallet. He goes, "How much are you going to pull in a night?" And he's like, he tells him like $370. I don't know what he says. You know, for LA is not a lot of money, right? So. So he appeals to his wallet. He goes, well, I'll give you six large right now. I'll give it to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. And this is outside Target One's house. But
Ramon!
What?
Ramon.
Ramon. That's right. Holy shit! But this is
Mark Ruffalo.
Oh, good old Hulk. This is the first moment we get, I guess, violence, but not really violence. We get fucking the way the jazz music is like playing, like the not jazz, it's like soft, and then it's just like boom, the fucking body lands on the roof of the taxi. Holy shit, man. And Max's reaction is so genuine, just the way he fucking jumps.
Shock.
Dude, jumps out of the seat, lands on his ass, and like scrambles away.
Mm-hmm. I love how he goes, damn, he fell in the cab.
He fell from the motherfucking cab.
I think he's dead.
Yeah, it's like, hey, man, hey, you alright?
Dude, I love the, hey man, are you alright?
I think he's dead. The way he says that, I don't even know if he knows that Vince is standing there yet, but he's kind of playing through the whole scenario. Oh God. I think he's dead.
It made me think,
man.
It made me think of Scary Movie 3 when she finds that girl's dead body and she's like, "Hey," and she fucking touches her shoulder and her head falls off. She's like, "Are you okay?"
Oh, Jesus Christ! Fucking scary movie. Yeah, Jesus Christ, man. But Vincent comes downstairs and says, what does he say? No, I shot him. Bullets in the fall killed him.
Yeah, a real Tom Cruise moment for me. And this is, like, again, this is the movie that was starting to turn me around. Whenever that happened, I was like, ugh, because for some reason, if there's anything that feels dated, it's that probably line. I don't know why it's so cheesy.
I love it, man.
I don't know why it's cheesy to me, but the way that he just like stares at the camera for like a solid second, almost like after he says it, is like lingers, and I'm like, oh, that's uncomfortable. If he would have been a little bit more like, no, the bullets and fall kill him, and then Jamie immediately threw his hands up, or Max immediately threw his hands up into red light, and then that might be, I don't know, I think it's just the timing, but if anybody else would have delivered that line, I absolutely wouldn't have liked it. So I think that's maybe just a little bit more credit to Tom that, you know.
Interesting. Because I was like all over that line, man. Like, I was just like, God damn.
Everything else about this is great. One of the best lines in the movie to me is in the same exact scene. And tell me if I'm going too fast for you guys, but whenever Jamie is still in fucking shock and tells him, "Hey, look, just take the time. They don't know who's driving these things half the time anyway. Just take it, and I'll dip. I won't say a thing or word." And then, you know, Vincent just so like with just this coy, sly look on his face just goes, "You promise not to tell anyone." And
he's fucking with him, right?
There's this exchange of looks. Max knows that he's not walking out of that alive. If he were to walk away after what he just witnessed already, right? He's in shock. So you're first, you know, you're like contemplating if you're going to run or not. So, but that line ends up coming back later in another very appropriate, like not a lot of callbacks like that in this to me, but this definitely line comes back later and it just sinks in so well because it makes it feel like you are Max. You're just like, oh man, I'm probably not going to get out of this.
Just shitting bricks. This scene, man, also kind of gives you the first sort of like instance of holy shit, Tom Cruise is good with a gun, because like just this kind of like wide shot of like Cruise with the stance when he pulls out the gun and like
And
it
that
holds
is
him at
fast.
gunpoint. Oh
Quick
my
draw.
god. Yeah, just apparently he went through rigorous training for this role.
I think 3 months.
That's
Yeah.
crazy,
I heard.
man. Ruffalo went through the same apparently, and he doesn't even draw a gun, or he doesn't even use a gun in this movie.
Yeah, I was like,
Do you
poor
know a
Ruffalo.
Do you guys know a lot about like his background character in this?
Yeah.
I think it was originally supposed to be somebody else, but I think I can't remember who. Oh, that's going to piss me off. It was I can't remember who it was they wanted originally, but Mark Ruffalo wound up stepping up into it. But I don't know a lot about his character.
Zoheb, were you saying that you knew some, I guess, a little more like background on that?
No, I don't.
No. Again, I'm just like quoting commentary. So
Yeah. Seriously, dude, you're the only one who did that homework. Apparently, seriously,
Well,
we're gonna be out of a job. Colin, why the fuck did you? Why'd you bring him on?
Nerd about this because this is again like this was like the movie that brought me into like actually giving a shit about watching them. But he followed around a detective apparently for some of this before he ended up shooting. So a lot of his look and his personality is apparently based on that detective that he's doing. And man, I really like Mark Ruffalo in this. But the weird thing is, it's like Mexa Mark Ruffalo. He almost doesn't look like normal white guy Mark.
Right.
To the point that whenever I started seeing him in other shit, like I guess to be totally upfront, it's probably whenever he shows up in like Avengers, but I ended up finding him in other movies in the past later that has nothing to do with action. I didn't recognize that it was the same guy. So when I went back and rewatched this after we had gone through and like watched all the Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff, I was like, oh my god, that's him. How did I not remember this?
Dude.
But I think he sells the character that well. His entire mannerisms, the way he's talking to his pal, which I don't remember his name. He's a real director and actor in real life.
Yeah, I was going to talk about him, Peter Berg.
Go
so
for
Peter,
it. Yeah. So love Mark Ruffalo, and I love the way he interacts with who you're about to talk about.
Yeah, well, I mean, Ruffalo's great. We've talked about Ruffalo a couple times on the podcast already in the context of Avengers. He was in Spotlight recently that we covered. But yeah, his friend actually is Peter Berg. He plays Richard Widener, and Peter Berg, I've talked about him plenty of fucking times on upcoming attractions. He directed Lone Survivor, Patriots Day, Deepwater Horizon. He works with Marky Mark a lot. He's got a movie out now called Mile 22, which is not great at all. Don't watch it.
More.
Unfortunately, he made Battleship. Unfortunately, he made Hancock.
Never saw that.
He made fucking The Rundown, which is awesome with The Rock back in the day. Yeah,
I've talked about that in the after party.
Yeah.
That is. If we
Great
cover
movie.
that one day, I'm good with it. Cause
so fun, man.
Rock, everybody kills it.
Yeah, man. He's a big Friday Night Lights guy as well. So yeah, he's a big time director. So it's weird that he's in this. But he worked with he actually directed Jamie Foxx in The Kingdom, which is another great movie as well. But yeah, before we meet him, actually, we do get introduced to Mark Ruffalo. He rocks up at what's the witness's name again?
Ramon.
Ramon.
He only says it like 800 fucking times.
I'm sorry. Ramon. He
We
rocks
get
up.
another repeating script moment in the end when Max is saying Annie. It's got to happen. It's like
my
200 times in a row.
So many, man. I'm like, damn. Like they literally just Control C, Control V, like the names. Like,
Like they kept turning around to look, and they were like, "What do you want me to say?" I'm like, 8 doorways into this building. They're like, "Just say Ramon again." And he's like, "Oh God, all right,
Do I have to?
Ramon, now where are you? I'm in here."
Yeah,
No, don't say that. They're gonna forget his name. Keep saying Ramon. Okay.
I like how he keeps yelling his name. Sees the food on the floor. Now, I don't know where a guy is, but he sure the fuck knows where I am now because I'm going Ramon as I'm walking into this house, just giving my position away. You know, who the fuck cares if you're checking corners, Mark Ruffalo? You've been fucking screaming this guy's name out for the past
One of the
like 5
outtakes was
minutes.
him like crouching down and picking up some of that food and eating it as he's sneaking in.
he's all up in that shit.
He's like, Ramon.
Fuck me.
So where are we at? He got Ramon. Here's Mark Ruffalo, Peter Berg.
Yeah, well, no, actually, we cut back to the two. We cut back to Vincent and Jamie Foxx, basically in this pullover scene where they get pulled over.
Oh,
Oh
Tense
boy,
as hell.
Tense.
Colin, you wanna talk about this?
I don't mind, yeah, because this movie started going in a direction that I fucking like, because it started getting, you know, in a lesser movie, they just would have gone like, all right, man, just get it taken care of, you know, blah blah blah, you know, and left him alone, because, you know, it's like, oh, you know, but it becomes a thing of like, yeah, it's a great kind of diversion that what ends up drawing them away, and I like the fact that it's a diversion. It's not Vincent pulling out his gun and killing two cops on the street, nobody being able to see it, and somehow they get out of it, you know, blah blah blah. You know, the fact that they're not cutting him any slack, you know, that this is LA, you know, this is not a place where we're going to be friendly to you, and oh yeah, sure, just go ahead and get it taken care of, you know, blah blah blah. I like the realism of it, you know, because that's one thing I was thinking. I was like, dude, they're gonna fucking pull you over, and dude, as soon as I thought if they pulled him over, I was like, I fucking like this movie. I was like, I do, I like it. This is realistic. I like this. But I mean, the whole scene, especially Cruz in the back, dude. One of them's probably married. Another one's got a wife who's pregnant with a kid. I was like, dude, you fucking son of a goddamn bitch, dude. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, just sweetening up the guilt pot for old Max there.
Dude, that line, he's like, you open the door, they go in the trunk. I'm just like, fuck.
He goes, don't let me get cornered. I don't think you have the trunk space. And then he's like, he's already thinking about killing these motherfuckers. And then, of course, it pans to Tom holding the gun. Not Max. Vincent. I'm going to just keep naming every name in this movie until I get to it. Annie's holding the gun. Ramon's holding the gun. No, Vincent's holding the gun even whenever they're getting out. So, you know, the best case scenario out of this, I feel like when Jamie saw the lights in his rearview mirror was, thank God, I can maybe at least talk our way out of this. But then he gets a sinking feeling whenever Tom Cruise isn't backing up. You know, in other movies, Tom Cruise would be like, oh shit, oh no, what are we going to do, right? But in this one, the second that cop turns on his lights, he's, don't let me get cornered. He's not slowing down. He's got an agenda tonight, and he's fucking leaving. And Jamie's going to be there to help him.
I had a
question. He wants to or not.
I had a question. Something that kind of like bugged me. I don't know why. The cop on the right approaches and he taps on the window twice. Mm-hmm. He's impatient.
Common in America.
Is it?
They'll approach you. So of course the way they're driving in this, I don't know about Australia if you guys are on the other side of the road, but where his driver's seat is of course American and typical. But a lot of times on busy roads, they won't walk up on your left side because there's a lot of traffic coming by. So a lot of times they'll come up on the right side and kind of knock on your window.
Oh shit! I didn't know that, because it annoyed me because he taps twice on the right, and then he's like, yeah, my partner's gonna help you out on the left side. Like, I was just like, what? Why didn't what the fuck?
On the left is a real cop. By the way,
shit.
They didn't give him a lot of structure. They said pull him over practically, and then go through your shit.
Man, I'm telling you, that's fucking why I bought that shit, dude. I was like, oh man, this feels so real. Of course it is. It's a real cop.
That's cool, man. Fucking outstanding scene, but with the he's like, I hit a deer in South Central.
More and more tense. South Central deer.
He sees the food, it's all fucked up. But yeah, man, this is I did watching it this time around. I did kind of I thought to myself, is this kind of like a Deus Ex Machina, like they get saved by the bell situation? But it actually isn't. It makes sense that these cops are called away because of shots fired nearby, and it makes sense that it's nearby because they just left the fucking place. So it's not. Yeah. It makes sense. I was like, okay, no, it's not a Deus Ex Machina where they get saved by the bell, which is sometimes bullshit in movies. You don't really want that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that dude. As soon as he's like, is there blood up here on this windshield? That's when it kicks off.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy, man. It's fucking crazy.
Great tensity. And it just gets more and more gripping as it moves along.
Yeah, well, I mean, because you they don't really give you Vincent's proficiency. Well, they give him his proficiency, but what he's capable of, you don't know if he's actually going to murder these cops, but through his performance you're like, okay, he probably is though. Probably is gonna. You
learn about how well versed he is in this next scene, as he leaves the second target, which doesn't get really a lot of attention because it doesn't have a lot of weight on the story, clearly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I fucking agree with you. But yeah, they pull into this alley behind the second, well, next to the second target's house, and this is where you get the sequence where Vincent fucks with Max's boss.
That's great.
Colin, Colin or Danny, either one of you, talk us through this.
So we get introduced to the dispatcher that Jamie has to put up with, and I think everybody's had a job. Oh man, I'm gonna keep doing that too, just to make you feel better. But the boss that Max has, I think we can all relate. At some point, we had somebody that was a supervisor over us that just pestered and didn't have the same attitude of work that we did, and you're just like not looking forward to talking to your boss sometimes. So it's relatable, right? But he gets back, and like I was telling you guys earlier, you get to really see how improvisational and how true to his word, Tom is, or maybe Vincent also is, whenever he's talking about adapting, and he's giving him this really strange speech later about Darwin and I Ching, which I won't get into, but whenever Max is about to disrupt the cycle of his normal night for the first time almost by the fact that he hit something, he might have to take it in, and the way that Vincent just kind of guides him through it by pretending that he works for the government. Specifically, I think he works for, he claims that he works for something. He's an assistant U.S. attorney or something. So immediately sells the fact over a radio to a dispatcher to this man that's probably been doing this his whole life, just dispatching taxis at the station. And there's not a second where, I think his name's Lenny, is even like, who the hell is this guy? Get off my radio. I'm talking to my passenger. Which I think in other parts of America, that's the response he would have gotten. He would not have fucking cared what passenger was trying to do that. But he's so stellarly convincing whenever he tells him that he's, your insurance clause and umbrella is going to cover all this. What are you trying to pull on? He doesn't even give him a chance to keep going. And almost in a sense, Max feels better for two reasons, right? He doesn't feel so bad for being so easily gullible to somebody as sharp-minded as Vincent, right? But also, Vincent fucking with his boss probably isn't the worst day of his work. Well, actually, this is his worst day of work. I take that back. But, maybe this is the highlight of the night that he got to fuck with his boss and make him feel like a piece of crap.
And we've got to give Max something at this point, because that's one good thing that Cruz. I think that these are the deceptions that Cruz can do that will make you feel like there's a friendship brewing here. He gives him the money. He buys the flowers for his mom. So he tells his boss to fuck off. We're starting to like Vincent, but really all of those things are it's kind of just like a piece of candy. It's the thing to lead you into the trap that will ultimately catch you. And that's really, I think, Vincent's whole shtick is he just wants to keep you going along until something finally snatches you up. Because right now I need you. I don't really need you here in an hour or two, but right now I need you to still be here, because the less people that know about this, the better. Even like he says, you disappear, people start asking questions, I get brought up. It's better if you stay alive and you stay with me until I don't need you anymore and I can leave.
Yeah. Name another instance where the two main characters are like the same side of magnets trying to be forced together. But they just, they're not allowed to be with each other because they're so contrasting people. Vincent is clearly pretty evil, right? And then Max is a pretty good person, but they're forced to be with each other, and it's almost like the same end of a magnet trying to touch. It's just almost like being forced to be repelled away from each other. But in the story, they're forced to be with each other, and every time that they're interacted up to this point, there was small talk banter where they're just kind of putting up with each other's presence, and then it got really serious where Jamie or Max is terrified and Vincent is intimidating, and this is the first time where you actually kind of see them getting along, and it doesn't click with you in that way until a little bit later in the movie, maybe, where you have a lot more dialogue between them, where you actually kind of realize that they kind of get a little bit more comfortable around each other to the point where they can have conversations to a really much deeper degree than probably anybody else that Jamie Foxx has talked to in driving cabs around for 12 years in a row.
Yeah,
right? It's really strange. I've never seen a movie where they force two people that should be on total opposite ends of the playing field because they're almost practically arch enemies overnight, right? And they're forced to be 3 feet away from each other for 2 hours, and you love seeing them together forced to talk, put up with each other. It's awesome. I've never had another movie where you love seeing the two opposite people just with each other the whole time.
No, I agree, man. Like he's in this sequence, he's less of a hostage and more of an accomplice.
Right. Well,
it's cool, man.
Because that is what, Jamie's just eventually Vincent just gets fed up, and Jamie's stumbling around with his words. He's just not executing with confidence, and Vincent is just over brimming with he could power a small city like with the confidence and the focus that he has. To the point where he just winds up taking over the radio because Lenny's trying to charge him for the damages. You know that your company is not going to hold him liable, and that your umbrella, your policy under under umbrella of whatever protects him. I love that as soon as he starts talking about it, Lenny's just like, hold on, let's just talk about here for a second. No, what were you trying to pull, you sadistic prick? And I was like, God damn, dude. And this whole scene, you're an asshole. Tell him, if he tries to shit again, you'll stick this yellow cab up his fat ass.
I love the way he says it back like a robot, because he's just too many emotions going through his head at this point in the night,
right,
for him to just say it convincingly. He's just, and if you try and pull some shit like this again, he just can't even spit it out almost.
Right. It's like he wants to say it, and I've always, he's probably maybe even always wanted to say this to Lenny, but not under these circumstances,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's a great scene, and like it's a scene that we really needed a little bit of levity, because this movie was dark. This movie, up until this point, it was dark.
You haven't smiled at any point in the movie, except for whenever Max and Annie were speaking, and it was a little bit of romantic feeling there.
It was nice, yeah. Max is struggling to get out of his cuffs, and this guy's a little bit of a weirdo. Do I look like I'm kidding you? What accent are you? What is this? What are you talking about?
The scariest part of this whole movie is whenever he walks away and goes, I shit myself. We paused it, and I needed to take a break because it was so intimidating. But
when it's like, wah,
and like, how can his night get any worse after that? I mean, even his look as he's walking away, he's thinking like, God, I've been abducted and kidnapped against my will. They just mugged me with a gun. And then it's just silly white guy walking away, just going,
just wait 10 seconds. Just wait 10 seconds. It'll get worse. You'll witness a double murder. Your homie, that my briefcase? Just
my
the way
section of my notes is labeled as "Yo homie" for the entire alleyway scene.
Just the way he slinks into screen, man, and shit's about to go down, man. Like, the guy approaches him, gun raised, gun to the side, obviously, because obviously that's a kill shot.
That's in LA. That is actually more deadly. It's scientifically proven.
It's gotta be, right? If you hold your gun to the side, it's just more damage and less recoil. Like,
don't
come on.
question that.
Yeah, no, it's fucking. I'm sure that's in the next Call of Duty, right? Like, there's an option to put your gun to the side and just go gangster.
I remember playing Perfect Dark, which was a added on addition, almost just GoldenEye, with a storyline that didn't belong to Ian Fleming. You actually could put some of the pistol guns. You come up behind people, eventually it would turn sideways. First time that we had realized that when we were all playing that, we were like, oh my god, she's so OG. You play as a female character in that, so it's like, this is badass. But on a Nintendo 64, seeing somebody put their gun sideways, it's like an Easter egg. If you sit behind somebody for so long, was like a big deal. Today it's like finding something out in the 800th mile of the map of Grand Theft Auto 5. So tomatoes.
But yeah, we get this incredible sequence. Like, this is out fucking standing. It's one of the best. It's one of my favorite sequences in the movie. It's just this explosion of violence, this really quick, the violence starts and now it's finished. It's over. I wanted to see, you want to see more. You want to see more of this shit. You want to see more of Vincent's proficiency. Fucking two into the guy, 3 into the right guy, picks up his briefcase, double taps the first guy. It's fucking awesome. The the sound of the gunfire is just so unique to Michael Mann. It's just the way that it echoes. Staple. It's a what?
It's a staple. I feel like.
Yeah, I don't know how he does it differently to other directors. I don't know how
real guns, blanks, and I think microphones.
Just
throughout.
Microphones everywhere, right? It's got to be that's how he did it in Heat. I'm pretty sure, right? Like they kind of like built a firing range that looked like the city. But
I hope this isn't a very American question, but in Australia, what are the gun laws? Have you ever fired a gun?
I've never fired a gun in my life. We have
Collin?
strict gun laws.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're right.
Pussy.
Collin, have you ever shot a gun?
Yeah, the first gun I ever shot was a .357 Magnum, and I was about 12. I had to have my dad standing behind me, or it would have fucking blown the gun out of my hand.
That's a big bitch.
It was fucking huge.
I want to hear the rest of your context, Zoheb. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, that's right.
No, he's all right. Fuck him. Anyway, no, I'm just kidding.
I was just gonna say Australia's kind of known for its gun laws. I think now. We had a tragedy in the early 90s. I think it was 93. It was the Port Arthur massacre, and it was just this crazy, deranged kid who just went down to Port Arthur in the south in Victoria and just absolutely murdered these tourists, and it was crazy. And from there, that's when they introduced these strict gun laws. Basically, like you're not allowed to have a firearm at all. We have gun ranges. But the laws there are very, very strict. I'm pretty sure, like, if you have a permit, you can get a firearm, but I don't know under what circumstances. I don't really know it that well. But yeah, Australia's kind of, I think, even internationally, Australia's pretty well known for its strict gun laws.
I just live under a rock, politically, I guess. But the only reason I asked that was just one simple statement, which is that guns are very loud in real life whenever you fire them. So I always thought it was funny in movies that they sounded buffed down, because whenever I got old enough and actually fired a gun, of course my first thought, I had ear muffs on or whatever, but it was loud. And I never heard that really recreated in movies, but it never dawned on me. So, hearing these gunshots in this one, really made me jump out of my seat the first time, because it's it's real round. It's blanks, but they're firing actual guns. So,
well, I was going to say also, isn't this where we get Vincent's like signature shot combination, 2 to the chest, 1 to the head? That's just like his thing.
Yeah. That's it.
Which I love. I think he actually pops the dude on the left to the chest, 1 to the head, guy on the right, 2 to the chest, 1 to the head, and then picks his briefcase up and shoots the dude one more time on the ground because he's still kicking. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. He shoots him twice in the chest because he's the only one with a gun out, and then once he's kind of incapacitated, he immediately shoots the other guy full on and finishes that because the other guy's already down. And then he completes it by shooting him. Yeah. In the head as he's walking off.
He's so lightning fast. Like, right. He's just quick. The guy on the right, who doesn't have his gun out.
He barely changes stance by the time he's on the ground.
Right, exactly. He doesn't even have a moment to react. Like, just the way Cruz disarms. Well, he doesn't disarm the guy that's approaching him from the left with the fucking gun to the side. Like, he hits him. Like, he hits the gun out of the way with his left hand, pulls the gun with his right hand from his holster, and it's just fucking anarchy, man. Like, it's just it's crazy. Like, you immediately get the sense that, holy shit, this guy can take down a small city.
Right, and it kind of now puts responsibility on Jamie Foxx, because we move on to that scene of where they're getting gas, and he just tells him straight up, he's like, you bring any more people into this, basically you're responsible. I can't help it. Like, I'm not going to stop. It is not my responsibility anymore. I'm just going to keep going until I get to my target. And if you put people in the way, that's not my problem anymore. That's your responsibility, because A, I'm not going to stop, and B, I don't give a fuck. He's like, so go ahead and call the cops or get whoever you want out here, because I'll either A, disappear, or I'll kill them too. And it's like, fuck, you put so much responsibility on Jamie Foxx's character, because it's kind of like when you have someone who's being chased by Michael Myers or Jason or whoever, you can't really just start bringing him through like a crowded house, because these people, you act like when you find people that you're safe, but it's like, dude, these people I mean, this person is is murdering people, indiscreetly. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, like Vincent doesn't give a fuck who he has to kill as long as he gets the job done. If he kills the people that he agreed to kill, then good, then he's done. But I think it's kind of like putting responsibility on the other people to where now Jamie Foxx is having to kind of understand, like, man, I can't really get anybody else involved, which helps with the story as well. I think it helps with a lot of people looking at their TVs going like, dude, why don't you call the cops, or why don't you do this, or why don't you do that? It's like, man, I can, and I've tried. And not only did I get robbed, but at the same time, those people are dead now. And he just knows it really doesn't matter what he does, because the responsibility is on him now to make sure that he keeps as many people as he can away from Vincent. It's like an unwanted responsibility.
And if there's ever a doubt in his mind earlier when those two police officers approached and he was thinking like, oh man, 2 against 1, that's going to be good. He definitely shot those odds down whenever he realized that Tom Cruise outnumbered, and one of them with a gun on him still isn't a match for him, right? So what other group of people is he going to conveniently run into that's going to be able to help him against the force, that is like Vincent?
Right, yeah.
It doesn't slow down.
This fucking specter of a human being.
Oh, one thing I was going to say as well. They offered this role, the writer, Stuart, what's his last name?
Stuart Beatty.
Okay, yeah, he wanted Robert De Niro, and they said no. They said no because he was, just thought he was too old, which is crazy because they make Tom Cruise look like 10 fucking years older than he actually is. I was like, what the fuck?
Let's throw another crazy thing to think about in this. So here's another actor that was originally considered for this, right? So you said Robert De Niro as the killer, Vincent?
Yeah, mm-hmm.
So they originally had, I'm not making this up, Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
for Max.
What? Oh my god!
I'm not sure Adam Sandler.
Hey.
I don't know if I could imagine him acting serious enough.
Hey Vincent, I'm about to open a can of whoop ass on you.
And that's what I was trying to think of earlier with Mark Ruffalo's character. They wanted Val Kilmer, but Val Kilmer was busy doing something else, and that would have been another return from Michael Mann, Robert De Niro, and Val Kilmer, who are all in here. But I'm kind of glad they didn't. Ruffalo does a great job, and Cruise does a great job, and even though I love seeing directors work with the same people, I don't know if I love Robert De Niro, and I love Val Kilmer as well, but just changing it up is probably for the better.
Oh, for sure. At this gas station, Vincent changes it up on Max. He makes Max believe that they're not going to another target. They're just going to go and chill. Because he's just like, you like jazz? This guy told me about this place in Crenshaw. Hey, what was that? Sorry, Danny?
Offers him a drink.
Offers him
a drink.
Yeah, let's go have a drink. Like, it's just kind of like this false sense of security. Like, don't worry about it. It's all going to be fine. Like, we're not going to another target. It's fine. But yeah, this is following that. We cut back to Ruffalo and Berg's characters. And this is basically where we get a bit more investigation. Did you like? I don't know if we want to talk about Ruffalo's kind of jumping to conclusions kind of thing. Do you want to talk about that? Not conclusions, but like just how quickly he catches on to what's happening.
Awfully convenient that he is the only person on that site that connected. Hey, you know what? I've heard this story.
Right.
From another place where this cab driver, so that's probably the first really, really thin line to walk in terms of trying to get a Titan script on if it's really believable every time you watch it or not. Because eventually I ran through this one time and I went, wow, that's awfully convenient that he knew that.
Right, yeah, I could see him catching it later on, but not so soon.
Otherwise, like Tom does for Vincent, Mark does a great job selling that as a character that he plays, and this is a detective that he actually legitimately knew that detail. Even the way he describes it, it's almost like the way a detective would re-describe a case that he had. These guys, this happened. He sets it up the way that a police officer, I feel like, would write down a police report.
Talking to what you were talking about, Danny, just how it's convenient that he knew of this story. I'd be annoyed if it led to the arrest or capture of Vincent and Max, but it doesn't. It doesn't go anywhere. Like, he just gets gunned down on the street.
Yeah, that would be 290s of the movie for that to perfectly come into play later, where like Mark Ruffalo kicks the door down on top of, I'm having trouble remembering Mark Ruffalo's character's name, the detective in this. What's Fanning?
Fanning, yeah.
Fanning. So, it would be 290s if Fanning kicked the door down on Vincent, at the 11th hour and was like, I connected the dots. And then Jamie Foxx is like, yay!
Yeah, so I'm glad. I would have been really pissed if like all of this like investigation and detective work led to something like that. But I like that it goes nowhere. I like that it's all kind of like a red herring. Like it's cool.
Yeah, and you get introduced to maybe not. I'm not gonna say the last, but the trifecta of very sharp, focused, determined people in this movie. You just never typically get to see the third person, which is Fanning, in the same room as Max and Vincent most of the time. But they are absolutely the three most focused people in this, and it's what drives them to where they are, and in some cases where some of their stories end, unfortunately.
Right.
I would say it's kind of interesting because it's kind of like the good guy, the bad guy, and the guy caught in the middle.
Yes.
Just doing his
Holy
job.
shit. This is all blowing my mind, fellas. This is doing great. You guys can do the rest of the podcast. They're all like so good at their jobs. They are so 100% proficient. Like Vincent's a perfect killer. Like Max is so good at driving around in LA. Like he knows the fucking time so well. And Ruffalo doesn't realize how hot on the trail he's on. Like it's fantastic. They're all just so good at what they do.
They're even in the same elevator at some point, which is something whenever we get to that point. I know we haven't talked about the jazz club yet, but that's another great instance of tension that he builds in this. If you thought Max passing Annie in the building earlier was close,
Oof.
How much closer can you get than practically having the witness and the assailant, if you want, I guess, call Max that, or I'm sorry, Vincent that, in the elevator with you as you're going up to the floor to piece the next piece of that puzzle together.
Yeah, man. It's
crazy.
fucking wild. But we're at the jazz club now. The jazz club is my favorite scene in the movie, hands down. It's not this. See, I like this whole kind of like you don't know if Vincent is if he's telling the truth or not, and this guy is just like completely oh god, I don't even know the words to articulate
sold
it.
On the character that Vincent is kind of painted in front of them. They're sitting there having a drink after the restaurant's closed down. After work, especially for a restaurant, I'm not going to hang around. I'm going to clean and leave. I'm not going to hang around and talk to somebody. So, the fact he's there talking to him and conversing, it's great.
And Max is like interested in what this guy has to say.
Yeah.
Max is like invested in it. He's like, God, I love this guy. And Vincent's just like, while he's talking to him, he's maintaining eye contact. He's also looking around, seeing if the person, like if the shift workers have left, if there's any witnesses to what's gonna, like what he's about to do.
Yeah, he sees her leave, and he actually keeps checking. If you notice, he does it at least one other time. He kind of looks to make sure that nothing else has changed in that doorway as a signal to let him know that someone's still back there working. And you hadn't heard anything else either. And the only reason that you remember that this is like such a deep, like dark kind of thrilling action kind of movie is the fact that he does keep on looking. Because if he didn't, I personally there's moments where I forget that this is actually a lot of tension for someone like Max, because he's actually held on her hostage, and this jazz musician has no clue. He just thinks he's there with Vincent.
He's got no fucking idea, and like that. It's played so fucking well, man. And this jazz musician talks about Miles Davis and this time that he played with Miles Davis.
Love Miles Davis.
And but the scene changes immediately. He's like, "Oh man, I got to tell my friends down at what's the place? Kubla Khan, and somewhere else. I looked it up, but I didn't get the connection. Just a South American area, I guess, that deals with. I don't fucking know. Somewhere where they fucking do drugs. I don't know. somewhere where they cultivate drugs. The heroin. And it changes, man. This witness just completely the color drains from his face and everything just goes dark. He's like, "Oh, you know those guys, do you?" And he's like, I'm afraid so."
Yeah,
Like,
and then the veil is down at that point because Max immediately pieces together. They're not there to listen to a jazz musician and get to know an old friend or even a new friend. This is his next target, and Max hasn't actually watched really one of like an innocent person, at least is his perception, get killed yet. He watched the two muggers in the alleyway get shot, but that's LA, right? So this is the first time he's like a foot away from this guy. And when he connects the dots the same way that the target does, you get the sinking feeling that makes you like you kicking your feet. I'm kicking my feet thinking about it. That scene right now where you're just almost wanting Max to scream like, "Get out of there, just fucking run,"
man.
you know. But he knows it's not going to be fast enough. Vincent is way quicker than that, you know, semi-retired trumpet player, club owner.
I love the eye contact, and Cruz is just like, "I'm working here," like, you know, what I mean? Like, it's all work to him.
Do this, man. Just let him go, you know.
It's all work to him.
Playing Miles Davis in the background.
Oh, that's cool. I would never have caught that because I don't know shit about jazz music. So.
Spanish Key, Bitches Brew. I don't have that album, Bitches Brew, but I have other jazz. I don't have any jazz albums other than Practically Like That and a few others. So that's not my typically like a lot of my music knowledge.
Oh, cool. So we've established that Daddy's a weirdo. I love you, Danny.
I'm not going to feel bad about having a good music. Trying to be a traveling music and a Wikipedia. That's my ultimate goal in life. But I don't have that much brain space at all to ever be that intelligent. So I'm never going to get there, but it's aspiring.
I was going to ask you guys, like, do you think if this guy had even gotten this question right, like Jamie Foxx brings up, no, absolutely not.
That was my next question. I was going to ask you guys if he was going to let him go. Yeah, like there's no, because he's not even going to let Max go at the end of the night. I doubt he's going to let him go.
Right.
Well, remember the last story that Fanning was talking about.
A bullet in his head, right?
One.
Yeah, he ended up killing the cabbie right there, or it's quote unquote suicide.
Yeah. So, I mean, I fully 100% believe that Vincent is here to kill every witness, to do everything that he's contracted to do, and get the fuck out of there. Make sure that, you know, no one even knows that there was even a hint of Vincent in LA at this time. Like, I completely 100% like believe that, and Vincent does that so well. Like, just the lies that he tells and like just the deceit. It's so good, man. But yeah, like you said, he's like, where did Miles Davis play music? And he's like, well, Juilliard. Fucking smashes 2 in his skull, and he's like, well, no, he dropped out of Juilliard after a year.
Part of me almost wants to think the guy would have finished. You know, he's like, I know everything about him. He went to Juilliard, and then, you know, before he even lets him get out the rest of it, like, oh, well, maybe this guy is going to say the rest of it, but if I let him live, you know, Max will know that I'm this type of person. He doesn't want Max knowing that, I think. I think that it wouldn't surprise me at all if this guy had the rest of the answer behind it, and he fucking just shot him before he could even get it out.
That's interesting.
It doesn't
That's an interesting look at it, yeah. Because
it doesn't even matter to Vincent. I'm going to shoot you either way. I might as well look like I'm right doing it. Well, I don't really give a fuck, but I want to look like, you know, because that's one thing about Vincent. Even though he's nondescript and he's very discreet about all these things and he doesn't really want to be noticed, you know, he wants control of situations. He wants to be right. He doesn't want to be the one, you know, that seems like a bad guy, because he's not bad. He's indifferent. He's like, I'm not a bad guy. You know, he doesn't want to seem on any time that he's in the wrong place or on the short end of the stick or coming from a bad place or anything. He always constantly wants to be, I think, in control and showing Max that, like, this is like, I'm a man of my word. Like, I do what I'm supposed to do. Like, and that's one thing about Vincent too. He's very polite. You know, he buys Max's mom flowers. He holds the elevator door for Fanning. Like, he's got, you know, he's actually, and he even converses with Fanning, you know, not even really knowing who he is. I don't think. Maybe he does, and he's just not letting us in on that. But
I want to talk about that conversation between them whenever we're ready for that. And if we are, I think I can probably take us through that. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, well, did you mean the conversation with Fanning later?
Well, the very brief one, but also, I guess, like that scene between, you know, Max and his mother.
Yeah.
But depending on where Collin was going.
Oh, no. That's just what I was saying, that Vincent is actually, it's kind of skipped over that he's very polite for what he does, you know?
Yeah.
He is, but I mean, again, I don't know what's facade and what's not.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's the character of Vincent, and I think that the character, it's written a lot stronger than I thought it was when I was a kid. Because I was like, oh, cool guy with a gun who kills everyone, yeah. Like, you know what I mean? If you watch it now,
when have you ever actually seen like a ghost? Because that's almost what he is in this. He's as much of a phantom. He almost looks as much of like a ghost as he acts.
Yeah, oh, fucking a nail on the head right there, man. But yeah, they go outside. Max, are you guys familiar with Family Guy when he's like, when they're watching the movie and they say the title of the movie in the movie, and Peter's like,
and he's like, there it is,
there it is, yeah, and this is that moment. Collateral, I'm Collateral.
I'm just Collateral anyway.
Yeah, but this is basically Vincent finds out, I guess from Lenny, that Max was supposed to be somewhere tonight. Max missed an appointment with his mother in the hospital, and she's been calling.
Routine.
Yeah, we should go. People are going to start looking for you in the cab and shit like that. We can't break routine. I'm not taking you to see my mother. But then one of my favorite lines: "Since when is any of this negotiable?" Which comes back later.
Oh yeah.
But they end up in the hospital. Danny, take us through this entire sequence.
So you just, even whenever they're forced to be with each other, you still just can't force them to get along perfectly, because even when Max thinks that he kind of understands Vincent's mentality enough, he's like, I'm not gonna buy her flowers. She's never gonna appreciate that. And just deadpan to Vincent going, she carried you in your womb for 9 months.
Oh, dude.
And then you're thinking, like, that's your level of sympathy now? I don't. It's hard to pick up a beat on you sometimes, right? I mean, you never really know where his allegiances lie, and sometimes. So you're right.
You know what I picked up on this time around, actually, and it kind of bugged me. Vincent wearing the glasses indoors. I was just like, it looks cool, Tom, but I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. It's common. I see it happen a lot, actually, and it's weird. I always pick up on it too, because I'm like, why are you wearing sunglasses? It's not that bright in here, but
right. It looks like it looks like he walked away from like a Matrix like screen test or something.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Once they get into the elevator, I feel like this is the best acting almost. Well, not acting, that's a jump, but this is probably one of the best, most simplistic chemistries in the whole movie, because the way that they have a conversation is legitimately how people have conversations, I feel like, where you kind of have these mumble responses where you acknowledge that they talked, but there's really nothing for you to continue that conversation with. So whenever he kind of asks about his night, Vincent, Fanning asks Vincent about kind of his night, and he just kind of like shrugs and kind of makes these directions, like these moans and these nods in certain directions. It's kind of like body language that is the most authentic, like realistic moment in the movie. Because if you're in an elevator or something in LA and you have small talk, that's probably the most that you're going to emote. But I don't know. I just loved how like I always kept going back, turning on subtitles when I was younger, because I was like, does he say something? And I don't pick it up. And of course, back then, you don't think to go onto like Yahoo questions or something to see like, what does that scene mean in Collateral when he just mumble kind of backs to him? And you kind of connect later that was just his way of not only staying low key so that, Max or Vincent doesn't turn around to Fanning and go, hey, by the way, it's me. You don't even know you're looking for me yet. He just kind of stays facing away from him, kind of nods, doesn't let him hear him talk, doesn't let him even really see him at any point. But makes it casual enough to ask him what floor he's going to, right? And what floor are you on? So
yeah. It's definitely a fucking great moment, man. Like, it's tension without even like creating tension. Like, there's no music, there's no tense music behind it or anything like that. It's just like, whoa, like, you know what I mean?
Well, and I think Vincent, not only does he not know that Fanning's a cop, but B, he doesn't look like a cop at all. Like, I mean,
No,
he's definitely deep undercover on some shit. And to Vincent, this probably just looks like, some dude that you might even look like one of the, you look like one of the people I might end up even shooting tonight. I don't really know. You know, he like, at first we're kind of led to believe that Ruffalo is, you know, okay, is this guy like a gangster? Like, what's going on? And then when it's a cop, it's almost like a bit of a revelation, you know, because we have kind of stereotyped the way that he looks, you know, the goatee, the slick back hair, the earring, you know, the black, you know, the leather jacket on and stuff. You know, he does kind of seem like that stereotype. And, you know, it's crazy because it's, like I said, it's those scenes where you've got people like walking right by each other and they don't even understand the significance of what it is right now. And I think had Vincent known or even gotten an inkling that this guy might be a cop, he would have been like not fucking said anything to him at all. I mean, like, okay, I just need to stay the fuck away from you. Like, I need to be a ghost.
Right. So finally you get to see all three of them in an elevator, you know, like I called them earlier, kind of like the trifecta of focused, devoted people and characters in this movie, right? And practically you feel like the main three people, at least to me. And I don't know, there's much to talk about really between the scene in terms of like the plot. Whenever Max is talking to his mother, it's practically purely there just as a little bit of attention building to get Mark Ruffalo in the same scenes as Tom Cruise and Jamie, but and kind of get their main actors all in one, like, you know, shot. But to give a little bit of the same thing this movie's been doing over and over and over again is bringing you down a little bit and letting you relax for a while, and then just all of a sudden you're stunned by something that happens next in this crazy like Hitman adventure. So but the funniest line easily in the movie to me, and definitely their chemistry between each other, is earlier Jamie or Max is saying, "Don't buy the flowers. It's not gonna mean anything to her. She doesn't like them." And you know, he doesn't want to take them, but he does. And then whenever he delivers them, she ends up saying, "Oh, they're beautiful." You know, after he had given them to her, and she says, "What am I going to do with these flowers?" And then he goes, "See, I told you." Not 10 seconds later, they're beautiful. It's so thoughtful,
she's charming, man. I love this actress. She's great.
Man, she every time the camera even has a hint of her, I'm paying attention to her because she's so infectious to listen to, and I love listening to her talk. So
this is a great moment though. Like I like that Max has kind of like not fooled her, but kind of like made her think that he's doing a lot better than he actually is.
Yeah, Limos.
Yeah, man.
Right, and like it's a great scene because not only now does Vincent actually have some, you know, like he has some leverage, he has some collateral on Max, but at the same time we kind of see Max for, I mean, not only is he kind of, you know, blowing smoke up his mom's ass, but I mean, he even says later on, he's like, no, she just makes up whatever she makes up. You know, we're kind of led to believe that maybe she's just kind of fabricating it herself or whatever. But
I tell her what she wants to hear.
Right. But we also get to see a little bit more of Max because it's starting to feel not uneven, but we're so influenced on Max that we Vincent, that we kind of need something to shift us back to Max, because Vincent is just way more interesting. I think that showing this about Max, we actually see his lifestyle and, you know, things outside of just the fact that he's a cab driver, because we don't really know anything. We know that he's clean and we know that he drives cabs and like he likes the island, you know, and that's really about it. We know just as much stuff about Vincent and we're more interested by Vincent. So I think at this point to finally show Max and get some kind of insight on his life. And that's why literally Vincent says, he's like, "Oh yes, I'm very interested," you know, blah, blah, blah. Like he wants to know, he just wants to fuck with him, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, he's just jabbing in farther and farther every single sentence he has, you know, exchange he has with his mother. You know, the actual context of that scene is one of these people is held hostage against their will and has witnessed several deaths unexpectedly, is for the first time probably in his life. One of them is a hitman, and the other woman is just somebody who's on hospital bed rest apparently, and is just kind of going through. I thought that's a retirement home, or maybe is it? I don't really remember why she's there specifically, but. Yeah, so great chemistry between all of them. It turns out Jamie Foxx and that actress, I don't know her name. I don't have that in front of me. I guess maybe you guys don't, but they actually knew, they grew up in the same area. They knew the same people in the same towns, the same school systems, because I think she had done public school work, and of course he went through school there. So they actually knew people as actual people in real life before they even had to do these scenes together. Once they got together, I think they probably discovered that. So it feels very relaxed and kind of authentic. Their conversation. That's really her son, and that he's really been kind of putting up with. Kind of like the attitude that on a night like this he's not ready to put up with, kind of from his mother this whole time.
Right? Yeah. It's such a swap up to be like, oh well, yeah, I've got a dead body in my trunk and I'm being held against my will, but let's go see our mom. It's kind of like, oh God.
So we finally see, almost in a way, one of his first evolutions as a character, and one of the growths as a character, because he thinks about it. And then finally, just Max grabs a briefcase and books it out of there, thinking that if he ends up taking that briefcase, he's at least going to slow down, the people that is on the rest of that hit list, and he's trying to get away from them. But you also have to remember that Vincent isn't going to forget where Max's mom is at, right? So he just did that, practically signing probably his mother's death note and his own by taking that briefcase.
I don't think he's thinking about that, though. Like, I mean, it does come back later when he's like, I'll execute your mum on the way out of town.
So
fucking crazy. But I don't think in this moment Max is really kind of like thinking of the circumstances.
It's just adrenaline.
And the repercussions, yeah.
Maybe you're right, yeah.
But this foot chase is crazy, though.
Yeah, another cliche Tom Cruise running. If you ever probably Google or YouTube a montage of Tom Cruise running, there's no way that this scene where he's running across the bridge over the 5, which is a big interstate in LA, that's definitely one of the scenes that gets put into those montages. But he throws it over. First of all, great throw, Jamie Foxx. If that's really him that threw that, because I
Olympic gold medal.
I would not have made that opening. Briefcase.
Yeah, can you imagine if it just fucking hits the edge of the cage and it just falls down?
Yeah, like the shortened version of this movie, because this is almost an hour in, he throws the briefcase up and it comes down and hits him and knocks him out. And then he just takes it and moves on with the rest of his evening. So
it makes me think of in Bruce Almighty, the outtakes of Jim Carrey trying to throw the beeper out the window. Dude, it's like 40 fucking takes. Like, it is so fucking funny. But yeah,
Stanley Kubrick.
I love that. I love, because it's kind of, he's improvising. He's got confidence. He's using Vincent's tactic to get against him. Vincent feels like he's helping him out, and I think that Vincent feels like he's almost taken him under his wing in a way. Like, to Vincent it feels that way. I'm not saying to Max, but to Max is still like, dude, fuck you. Like, you're, I don't. Part of me feels like he does it just to get him out of the same room as his mom, so this conversation doesn't go somewhere where Max doesn't want it to go. Why are you two together? Blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. But at the same time, just because it's at a very, it's kind of perfect because Vincent is interested in this, and now he has him unfocused off of the bag. He has him unfocused off the murders and stuff. Now is the time to strike, and I think he just sees that, and he's like, wow, this is one of the first times this guy is not just like a fucking great white through the water. He's actually stopped, and this is not the jazz club where we're here to kill somebody. This is actually a legitimate stop. So the fact that
he's rivaled by somebody that's not even a hitman, right? Just shares the same level of intelligence, just not the same day job,
right,
or evening job.
Exactly. And it's kind of, we can say all that we want about Vincent and how terrible of a person he is, but he honestly kind of opens up Max to a lot of stuff. And I think that, it obviously, this whole ordeal probably makes Max a better person, and if anything, lights a fire under his ass, so he'll get whatever he needs to done. But I think that Vincent has a problem with underestimating Max a lot in this movie, and I think that ultimately comes back to bite him in the ass quite a few times.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite Cruise deliveries. You were screwing with my work. Like, he gives that sense of
he's
like
legitimately stressed.
Yeah, like you're poking the bear a little bit too much, and when you poke him, he fucking comes out. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's a scary motherfucker.
One thing I don't want to go by, I know I just talked forever, but as he gets face to face with Jamie Foxx, we see all the taillights and they're in focus, and then when they get face to face, it just kind of blurs out. But we literally see it's almost like good and evil in the city in between them, like the playground, and I love that because it's just like huge.
You're gonna love this transition whenever you get done
because it's such a huge shot of the five, like you were talking about, and then we're focused on that, but when we see Cruz's face come into frame, it shifts our focus back to them, and we kind of see we're looking at what's at stake, and then we look at our players face to face. I like that a lot.
That's cool, man. I dig it. What do you guys say about taking a break here, though?
That sounds good.
So, last thing I was going to bring up about this Internet State scene in 10 seconds was in real life, they actually had to have hired a little bit higher security when they were filming there because there's two rival gangs, and their division in real life is the Five right there. So when they were filming on that scene, it's funny that Collin was saying it's like two opposing sides right there. That's legitimate. LA is actually like that, apparently.
Well, that's
Holy shit.
That's just ridiculous. If there's five of them, they could have two and the other have three. I mean, that's just being greedy. That's awful.
Yeah. Did you count the lanes? That's why they call it the Five, because there's only 5 lanes on there, Collin. Go back.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Share them. Somebody alternates weekends. Make something work, dude. Don't be an asshole.
I mean, that's an uneven number. A Gang Wars 101 is mathematics, so they're going to see, like, hey, we're not going to be able to split up 5 divisibly.
Yeah, he's like, who gets custody on the weekends? How do we determine that?
Who gets the turning lane?
Fucking cholos need. He gets the turning lane. All right, guys.
It shows like a Mexican gang adopting a highway. sorry, Zoheb.
Holy shit. No, I'm fucking losing my mind over here too. Who gets the turning lane? Oh my god, holy shit. Guys, we're going to take a break because I need to laugh my ass off, and I can't do that unless I pee, so we'll be right back.
I'm in town on a real estate deal, closing one night. I got 5 stops to make. Collect signatures, see some friends, and then I got a 6 a.m. out of LAX. Why don't you hang with me?
This is Detective Fanny Narcotics. Send 2 black and whites and a night detective to 1039 South Union. Contact SID, I got a crime scene.
These 3 all came in within half an hour, right? The kid and that last guy, both done by the same shooter. 2 in the sternum, 1 in the head. And this guy, he's shooting tight ribs, too.
I can't drive you around while you're killing people, man. It ain't my job.
Tonight it is. Millions of galaxies of hundreds of millions of stars and a speck on one in a blink. That's us, lost in space. A cop, you, me. Who notices?
I do this for a living!
Hey guys, welcome back. We are fucking freshly squeezed, for lack of a better term. Freshly milked, coffeeed up, whatever.
Ready to go.
Ready to fucking go. We are diving right back into Collateral. The scene we're jumping right into is the scene where Ruffalo finds out about Vincent's signature, which is basically 2 to the chest and 1 to the head. And this is basically where he's connecting the victims, seemingly unrelated victims, to the one killer. You guys got anything on this you wanted to talk about? Or it's pretty straightforward. He calls his partner.
Yeah, his partner comes to his aid, which is pretty cool. For a short time, at least. He comes into the picture to help him kind of keep going with it, which is really cool. You can tell that they're really good partners. They don't have to spend a lot of time on that for you to get that they are like almost connected mentally by a lot of the cases they probably worked on together. That the first questions he asks when he gets out of bed like makes sense. He's not like, what time is it? He's already like, okay, what's up? So good character building between them, and it just solidifies that Fanning is probably the sharpest law enforcement person that you reach or you get to kind of watch in that evening.
Yeah, again, really, really proficient at his job, right? Just really, really good. We cut back to Vincent and Max. Basically, this is the scene where Vincent's fucking...
Tom Cruise is using a handleboard keyboard phone that is like... was so like... It was like a 1 month fad kind of thing.
Oh, is that here? Oh.
I know in America, at least I saw advertisements on it for like AT&T, or back then it was probably Bell South or whatever that was. But that phone that he's using, like if you look, like that's not like a computer or anything that he's typing on at the very beginning of that scene when the taxi, like it starts looking at him and it kind of pans to Jamie Foxx's character. He's on this phone that is just like so wannabe Matrix.
Well, Matrix was like 5 years before this. Like it's crazy. Like it's not even like in the same ballpark in terms.
It's just embarrassing that we had that long of a period where they're trying to come out with like the most bitchin' phone design that they could, and we've settled with like a sheet of glass.
Oh boy. Oh well. What are you gonna do?
No, I'm not complaining. Move along.
This is the scene where Vincent's fucking with Max, right? Like telling him about how his dad beat him up and he had to kill him. Like,
oh yeah.
I was like, the first time I saw this, I was like, God damn, this guy's cold. And then he just starts laughing, which is even colder. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're just like peeling back layers. The fact that he doesn't, the less he tells Max, the more it reveals about Vincent. For some, weirdly, it's weird, it's ironic. Because Vincent doesn't want any information to get out, and he's just like, he's so determined to maintain this facade of this ghost that he's playing. It's great. It's great.
I never thought of it that way.
No, I thought it's just a unique take on the character, but there's nothing else here that's really in this scene that's really kind of like stand out, I guess.
Just more relationship building between them, which, like I said earlier, I'm imagining it in my head correctly and making sense, but I think describing it's hard. But if you ever hold like two magnets in the same size and you try and force them together with your fist, it's almost like they're being forced together even though they should be on total opposite ends of this earth. They would prefer not to be anywhere near each other. And so it's more character building in that aspect on it. And my favorite scenes as a whole in the movie, it's kind of hard to pick one, is every single time that they start having a conversation in their cab, like post the lawyer that he killed in his apartment in the alleyway scene. Like from that point on, every time that they have a conversation in the cab, it's like the best parts of the movie to me because they have such good chemistry with each other. They
do, and it's weird. It's weird that they have great chemistry, but they absolutely do. They're so watchable. But they rock up to this club, I guess, right?
El Rodeo.
El Rodeo, and basically, this is if I was Max Man, I'd be shitting bricks, and he absolutely is. Like Vincent just says, "Hey, look, I can't be seen." And they don't know what I look like, so you're gonna have to pretend to be me and go and get a new list.
You did this shit to me.
But
you don't fuck with my work.
But this doesn't. Okay, I fully understand that he has to maintain his anonymity, but it doesn't make sense when Vincent has to appear in a later scene at that club at the scene where he has to kill that final witness. Second to last witness. And be seen by everyone snapping everyone's head and like shooting and like firing. Like it doesn't make sense.
I don't think he's concerned about maybe like henchmen redescribing to the guy that hired him what he looks like, but he probably wouldn't want the people that actually hired him, which is Javier Bardem, which is crazy. I did not recognize him for the longest time. But we'll get to him. But yeah, anyway, great. Kind of another evolution in a sense of Max's character, where he's trying to having to grow, even though he's not wanting to do anything all night.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very unique hostage situation, and I think I love that, man. I love how different it feels to other kind of like hostage movies. But basically, the FBI is scoping this place out, and they pick up Max on cameras walking up to the security guards and saying, "Hey, my name is Vincent."
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. These guys are fucking huge. They're intimidating as shit.
Oh yeah.
They're actual bodyguards of the actual El Rodeo in the actual Los Angeles, as the commentary pointed out.
I'd fucking believe that, man. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, like that's really a lot. A lot of those people are just fucking bodyguards, and then when they get inside, apparently some of those people were on good behavior leave from prison to act.
Of course they were
extras in there.
Of course they were on fucking good behavior leave.
Crazy, man. Michael Mann, like the conversations you must have to have with him when you talk about how do you want to prepare for this? How do you want to like staff this scene? He's like, I was looking at this prison the other day.
Just get some real fucking assholes. Fanning goes to meet with the FBI and basically gives them the lowdown. He's like, hey, look, we've had all of these murders, and he names them, and the FBI is like, oh shit, these are all witnesses in the Felix Reyes Terena case. And then that's when they start picking up on shit, like fucking Fanning picks up on the taxi that's parked outside. He gets the plate number.
Yeah, busted windshield.
Yeah, busted windshield.
The taxi's fucked
connected to the stop earlier. But Max gets led through and meets up with Javier Bardem again. Man, crazy pre No Country for Old Men Javier Bardem.
Well, dude, and they're easily the most intimidating guy in this movie. Honestly, like I didn't know that was honestly even him until I looked up the cast on IMDb after the movie. But without a doubt, he's the most like intimidating guy because he's kind of dressed similar to Vincent almost. He's got like a gray suit and a white shirt. He reminds me of Vincent in a way where he's kind of nondescript, short hair or goatee, nothing really crazy. But there's just something about Javier Bardem in his voice, and also when he just looks at you, that's just like it's just terrifying. It's like the eyes of like a great white shark, just these big black dead eyes. You're like, fuck, dude, like that. That's it.
Yeah, you don't have any more room in your ear, for any other sound but like his voice, because it just has such like a broad. I don't know. He's just so well spoken. He has such a deep voice. It's hard not to pay attention when he talks.
One of my favorite moments of this scene when I was a kid. just how he
describes the story.
He's like burro, little burro. Like his performance is tiny, but it's impactful. I love it.
He did some Spanish prep for it. And I kept expecting him from Skyfall for him to be doing like the rat noise, where he's like. He's talking about how the rats jumped into, they did these pits and threw the rats in there. And that's awesome monologue that he has in Skyfall, where he's walking towards the camera through this server room and like this dilapidated island palace. And
I thought he was going to start.
Fucking cool.
I thought he was going to start filling up Jamie Foxx's legs. like he does with Daniel Craig in that scene.
Yeah.
Oh boy. But
who says it's not my first rodeo or something like that?
Yeah.
Move. Yeah.
This is a great moment, man. Like Pedro el Negro, Black Peter, and he tells him this story, and basically it's an analogy, a long-winded analogy. And in this analogy, Black Peter is obviously Jamie Foxx, fucking racist, and Felix is Santa Claus, and he's like, can you imagine how the fuck Santa Claus will react if Black Peter came back and said, if you lost the list?
I'm terrified at this point when he's talking in the movie. I'm like, God, I am just gonna stand up and leave.
It's scary. It's such a it's a scary thing to do out scare Vincent. Like, you know what I mean? Like Vincent is intimidating as fuck. We've already been shown that. But this one sequence with Felix, you get the sense that this guy is infinitely more dangerous than Vincent.
Yeah, way more blood on his hand via, commanding other people and paying them. Just like Vincent, right?
And Max develops as a character here. He literally has to take on board what Vincent's taught him throughout this entire night and improvise. Like he has to be like, tell this motherfucker behind me to put his gun down.
It's good that they do this, because if Jamie Foxx's character, if Max was any weaker of a person, you wouldn't really be concerned about him at this point in the movie. You'd be like, God, I'm just ready to see kind of like, probably Tom Cruise's character, Vincent, probably get him and just keep, kill him and keep moving along, because he's just baggage now. But the fact that he's able to improvise and adapt and every other cheesy thing that Vincent's character like mutters off all the time is like his like slogan of being like his chi, you know. When he has the chance to become him in that scene, you're right, is great. It's really good.
It's great, man. By the way, the guy that he threatens, the one where he's like, tell him to put his gun down before I take it and beat his ass with it. If no one's seen Sons of Anarchy, this is not going to make sense to you, but that's Alvarez from Sons of Anarchy. He's a pretty big player. He's in this new show as well, Mayans MC. It's a spin-off, I think, but yeah, he's a big player. I just thought it was noteworthy. And then what happens here? He basically kind of like strong arms Felix into giving the thing, right? Who's fucking breathing loud?
Do what?
Someone's fucking breathing loud, and I'm just like, this
Collin
is
falling asleep at the wheel.
I was like, someone's recording. Like, this is gonna be left in the podcast, so everyone's listening to this shit. But someone's like volume just like increased like a motherfucker, and it was like creepy breathing. I was like, it's oh my god! I was actually scared. Like, I thought there was someone behind me.
I thought it was Javier Bardem. I shit my pants.
Like, seriously, I had Javier Bardem's face on my screen, and I was like, this is creeping me out.
What is the most you've ever lost in a coin toss?
Oh my god damn it. Oh god damn it. It fucking chokes me out with the cuffs. Ugh.
I like that. I love this scene a lot, especially for, like you said, you see Jamie Foxx involved, you see him use the tactics, but also, we see more proficiency from Ruffalo. They're immediately, taking the audio and cleaning it up, and hearing that he's Vincent. But also, I love Ruffalo. He's like, hey, is there anybody else in that cab? That's one of the he's one of the only people that asked that question, because to cops it's always just so obvious, and so cut and dry, that he's like, he's a detective, or undercover cop, but this guy could easily be a detective, and he's the one asking the questions because he's wondering what this might be related to the other cases.
Agreed, man. But he gets a new list, right? He basically just strong arms Felix into giving him a new list. And that's the last we see of Bardem. Fucking crazy, man. Like, imagine how much it'll cost for him to be in this movie today.
Yeah, right?
Jesus.
I don't know if they would have afford him. You're right. Or he probably just wouldn't have had enough time to shoot for a couple days to even do this scene.
Yeah, man. He's a major player these days. But he takes it back to... Oh, wait, hold on, yeah. He takes it back to Vincent, and off they go.
Yeah, my section of notes at this point is just in all caps. Boom, ticka, boom, ticka, boom, ticka, boom, because that's all you hear for the next, 13 minutes in this club.
Club fever.
It's just fucking... club music just going and going and going.
Well, before we get to that, we get the standard sort of like loadout scene that happens in a lot of action movies. The cops kind of like loading up, and then you get Felix's men loading up to go to Club Fever and shit like that. Everyone's like kind of like converging on this one area.
Screaming radical Michael Mann, drastic music playing. Yeah,
there is some really cool shots with this helicopter. It's outstanding. But we get to Club Fever, guys. 10 points. I don't know what 10 points translates to, but whatever. 10 points to whoever gets the song. In which major movie this song was in a major action sequence as well, around this time as well.
So I know the name of this song and I know all about it.
Me too.
But I don't want to stomp over Collin if he knows it.
No, it sounds so familiar, but I can't fucking think of it.
Okay, another first for me was movie soundtracks. Whenever this happened and I heard all the music, of course, we skipped the audio slave thing that you guys aren't impressed by. I'm not going to let go.
Just fucking went straight past it.
So but this is the first time I was interested in the soundtracks. The only reason I'm nerdy and know this kind of stuff. But Paul Oakenfold's the artist. The song's called Ready, Steady, Go. If you ever go and get
I just thought I'd play it.
Oh, good, yeah.
Because it's actually one of my favorite songs.
Are labeled as Bowzika Bowzika Bowz because that's all you're going to hear for the next while on that song and that long. But if you download that song or buy it on his album, like I did normally, it's in English. Michael Mann thought that it was more appropriate that if they were in a Korean, I'm pretty sure it's Korean themed nightclub, they're going to be listening to Korean theme music. They're going to be listening to things that are popular in Korean charts. So the lyrics that you're hearing, which is them just saying "Ready, Steady, Go," is actually in Korean. For the movie that it's in, also, I don't know that one.
Really? You don't know it? Oh, okay.
No, I'm the music nerd. I'm not the. I think you guys are well beyond me in movies.
So the movie to do this, to use this song, probably not this Korean version, but the same song, 2 years before the Bourne Identity, and it was like a major sequence. It was the sequence with the Mini Cooper and it's his car chase.
You're right.
Yeah,
we recently, my wife and I recently discovered those movies.
Yeah,
and. I had no idea that like that song was in there as well, and I think that came around the same time. Didn't it? I was
2 years
late
earlier
to that party.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's why I didn't give a shit. It's a Bourne movie. Never mind. Okay, cool.
God damn it.
They're hit and miss.
They're great. I think
50-50.
they're great. I think the first trilogy is great. I'm sorry, but especially the third one.
There's some moments like where a few minutes ago someone was falling asleep in the second one where I'm just like, the second one is just so fucking boring to me.
Really, I think the first one is the weakest, but whatever.
But the first and third they're the best to me. Anyway, we're talking about Bourne and Collateral, so we need to get on with
Conversation for another day. But Club Fever, another fucking outstanding sequence. This is probably going to be the sequence that's on our little preview video that we drop on our socials. Jesus Christ, man! Just the way Vincent moves through the crowd like a fucking ghost, like a specter. Man, what do you guys talk to me? Talk to me.
Well, dude,
do it.
Just
Collin.
because the first guy, I think he just comes up and fucking straight punches him in the back or something. Like he knocks the first guy, like fucking puts an elbow in his back, grabs the guy and just shoves his head down, and just you don't even see the kick. It's just like this like movement up top, but we like see
no body punctures at all at this point. Just bones twisting and breaking.
Right, and no shots fired. You don't want to alert anybody. But I mean, him just again like a great white shark, dude, just barreling through the fucking crowd and goddamn kicks that guy's knee, and I was like, God, dude.
Yeah, even has an opportunity to save Max for a moment, which is kind of supposed to be a special moment, and it's so convenient that right when they lock eyes, it's the part in the song where it's kind of like a bridge in a techno song, which a bridge in a techno song lasts like 10 seconds, and then you're right back into it.
How dare you? This is my genre, bitch.
Dude,
I'm not knocking it.
I'm joking.
I own the CD.
I'm joking. But yeah, the scene where they lock eyes, man, and the fucking Cruz's face, it's just like pure anger.
You are just. He's like, I am forced to make you survive through this because you have to be here at the end of this to be a dead body.
Yeah, man. But dude, when it all pops off, like again, the gunfire, Michael Mann's gunfire is absolutely outstanding. The shot of Cruz on his back firing the gun, outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just kind of like
real.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a wide shot, and his like knees are like. It's like he's giving birth.
It's just total stability,
Yeah. But actually, I don't want to go by it. The FBI guy cops one. He cops around. And another one of my favorite moments in this entire sequence, the way he walks up to the witness, blasts the witness, and then like casually just walks off. Damn.
Yeah, and just vanishes into that crowd. I mean, it's probably a few steps in. There's already a lot of people running kind of in between him and everybody else in the camera, and he's just another guy leaving. And he does. They just exit, But someone follows them.
It's executed so well. Like this entire scene, it doesn't feel like an action scene. It just feels like these forces just stopping this guy, like this fucking force of nature that's just gonna get his job done by any means necessary. I like it. Colin, you got anything to say on this scene or?
No, just, again, it's just like that same shit I've been saying, man. Fucking great white shark. Just like eating it's just all consuming, all destructive. Like, he seems almost supernatural at some points because you're like, dude, can this guy be stopped? Like, if you build a wall, does he just he just adapt? Like he said, he's like water. He just goes through the cracks and bends any way that he doesn't really have to beat you. He just has to work his way around you to get to you. I like that. He's not trying to do it by force. He's not trying to punch through the wall. He's just jumping over the wall. He's being, I like that because, and all too much in like action movies, and things like that, we see people just trying to force, get things done by force, and Vincent's just adapting to whatever the situation calls for. I think it's fucking brilliant.
Absolutely, man. Like, he's just like I said, man, a force of nature. But throughout all this, I think it's important to mention that Fanning grabs Max. Mm-hmm. And says, "Look, I believe you. Like, I know that you're not the, it's not you. You're being forced. Like, something's not right here."
Yeah, and you almost feel like the first inch of relief for Max once he said that. You're like, oh, there's maybe a chance he can get out of this clean.
There's some hope. But by the way, I have no idea how Vincent got out of the club so quick. Like when they're struggling to get out, like this is like a massive fucking evacuation, and he's already outside in the cab. Like, I don't.
Oh, he has the cab pulled around waiting. I never thought.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just like a little logistical thing, but you know what? Shit like that doesn't really bother me.
Hang on, guys, we forgot Tom Cruise. He like sprinted to that.
Yeah, that's true.
Car.
I was gonna say secretly Tom Cruise is like sick Quicksilver from the Marvel universe, because all the fucking gray hair and shit.
Oh, dude.
The second that the Korean guy died and he vanished into that crowd, he's like already putting his foot on the gas pedal in the car. Like, that's how immediate it is.
Well, he just prayed to fucking the alien gods.
Dude, one thing is this fucking scene coming up is probably the best dialogue between the two of them. It's my favorite, at least.
Yeah, before we get there, if we can go back for 10 seconds.
Fanning gets blasted in the door.
Oh yeah, that as well. Sorry, Mark Ruffalo.
Oh no. So what was your other thing, Danny?
I'll blow through this in a minute because I know you guys said it was earlier probably your least favorite part of the movie, and it's very quick small talk before we started this. But as they're driving, they have one of the best conversations, I think. Whenever he's saying, "Are you going to call her?" He's talking about Annie, right?
Yeah.
Which brings me up something else I want to ask here a little bit later. I read online at some point. But going back to like this specific scenario, they actually have like a really kind of like interesting sentimental like conversation with each other, and it's just like every time they get in the cab, their type of conversation is different. And I think I love this movie so much because Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx as actors have such good chemistry with each other that every time, no matter what the tone is of that scene and them in the taxi, I'm just like locked into listening to them talk to each other. Like these opposite forces, I love it. And then I've already blown my 1 minute window, but the main thing I was trying to get to was whenever that coyote crosses the street, it gets such a big deal made. Like people make a big deal about that scene because they're trying to think if it has some kind of levity to the storyline. And I researched a lot on this too because I was like, I'm always curious what happened here. So I found enough information to piece together. That coyote just crossing was just a total accident of them filming. But he liked that scene being in there. He liked them capturing that coyote running across the road because I don't know if they were even filming a scene. They just had cameras on in that area. And they just happened to lock onto it and get it. But he later described that there was times in LA where they would see lone coyotes still wandering the streets. And it was kind of reminiscent like that whenever that scene happened. This is just people trying to kind of like look into it. But then also Michael Mann kind of said this himself was that the way he related it and made it fit into that movie in the scene was that it's kind of supposed to be reminiscent of the coyote being had been there for like thousands and thousands of years probably, and LA's only been there for I think he said like 90 years or something like that, 50 years, however long it had been that LA had been established there, and that it was kind of supposed to set the tone that like the world's going to keep spinning for other people no matter what, and that coyote kind of run across as an example that everyone's kind of their own life. And so I'm only describing all that and that in depth, not because I'm still interested past the probably last two sentences I said about it, but it's because if somebody else were probably listening to this that liked as much as I did, they might have been one of those people that Googled it like I did and wondered what the fuck that was supposed to be about. And it was just an accident, and he kind of made it, set an interesting tone for the movie. Cue the Audio Slave song that is badass. But I guess that's my one thing that I guess maybe you guys didn't like. So we don't have to spend any more time on that because I know we're getting to probably some of the best moments of this whole fucking thing.
Sorry, I just woke up. I didn't. As soon as I had the history lesson, I was like, I'm fucking out. I'm joking. Oh boy, that's actually interesting because I was thinking about the coyote. I was like, what the fuck does this represent? Like, it just, I don't know, kind of like a lone wolf situation. I couldn't really like link it. You know what I mean?
I just read somewhere where it's part of Native American lore. That
I saw that too.
Yeah, if it crosses your path, it's like, don't go any further. You'll be in an accident, or you'll be killed, or someone else you love will be killed, or something like that. So it's basically, it's almost like seeing a black cat in a way. That's just what I read. I mean, I didn't really look into it any other way than I was like, oh, that's kind of crazy. Like maybe this is, Vincent looking at it, crossing another lone wolf, like in the middle of the streets. Like, man, you seem, maybe he's looking at the wolf saying, you seem kind of out of place, but then again, so do I, he even says earlier on about how little he likes being there. But there,
did you stay awake through that, Zoheb?
I just woke up again.
I do.
Because if he stayed awake for his and not mine, I was like, there's some tenure discrimination here.
I do love their conversation in the cab. This is to go over this dialogue would take so fucking long. But the key points, really, this almost reminds me of like the Matthew McConaughey Buick commercials. Like, it's him riding around, kind of pontificating,
just abstract to be abstract.
Right? Yeah, it's because there's some stuff, Cruz is talking about them being, there's you, me, the other, just being a speck in the universe, basically, who notices? And, Max asked him, he's like, why do you do this? He's like, he's like, why do you do this? He's like, the why isn't important. It's how, or something like that. He basically said, nobody really cares about that. And he's straight up asked him, he's like, why haven't you killed me yet? And he's just flat out, just flat out spells it out for him. But this whole thing, they kind of, I like it because you kind of see Max get under Vincent's skin, and Vincent's been doing this to Max, and we're kind of used to seeing it, but seeing Max kind of get it back on Vincent is fucking great because he's, as he's telling him, you have all the parts, but it's just something's missing, like all the usual parts that other people have, and it's like, damn, dude, like, and you can kind of see it getting to Vincent a little bit. He kind of, he looks, part of Vincent almost makes me feel like Neil McCauley from Heat if he never died, and he just kept doing the same jobs, and he just
nice.
He just eventually became this deteriorated, jaded shell of a person that used to be there. Because at least Neil McCauley, he wants to get out. He's got things he wants to do, but with Vincent, there's just this is just his life, and he's breaking down Max. Why the fuck are you still driving a cab? 12 years is a long time to be doing something temporary. You're telling me you couldn't save up a fucking loan by now?
You could have gotten a town car. That's just a fucking car that by itself.
Right, yeah, they're really fucking digging into each other, but I love it because this scene just kind of end up revving us really to it's the end of our second act, kind of revving us up to our third one. Because I think this is also where Max says that he tried to gamble his way out from under, but that was a born to deal lose. Like, what was it? I guess he was gambling money and lost some. I didn't quite pick up exactly what he was talking about there. Did he try to make some kind of money and lost at gambling? What did you guys take away from that?
I didn't pick up on that at all.
Neither did I.
I'm not saying that I'm not finding your logic. I'm saying I don't even remember that specific piece of dialogue.
Neither do I.
It's technically at the 1 hour, 30 minute mark and 12 seconds, I believe.
Hang on. I need to rewind real quick. Hang on.
But this is really, I mean, all of this dialogue, is just great. And, this where we finally... I love seeing it because Max finally realizes how in control he is. If I'm going 90 miles an hour and you shoot me in the head, you're fucking dead too. He realizes literally that everything lies in his hand. And I think possibly he's also coming to the realization that, I'm probably going to get killed anyways. Why haven't you killed me so far? He's already asking the important questions, and I love seeing Vincent get fucking nervous, dude. He's like, slow down,
Right.
dude. Like,
Red light.
oh,
Like
it's so
him
fucking
losing
good.
control, not being in control. It's fantastic, man. This is like you get like a seed of this when before he's like, you were screwing with my work, like a little bit of hint of like this is what he's kind of capable of if he's not in control. But like here, he like kind of like realizes that, holy shit, I'm kind of like powerless in the situation. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I can't jump out of the fucking taxi as it's going like nearly 100 miles per hour.
This is definitely the best scene to me, I think, in the whole movie.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. I think it's definitely my favorite, to say the least.
And
this oh no, go Colin.
well, I was just gonna say him using Vincent's fucking logic against him is my god,
get into that,
dude.
Like,
we're all insignificant out here in this big ass nowhere. What does it matter anyways? Twilight Zone shit. I'm like, dude, that is so fucking good, man. Like,
says the badass sociopath in my backseat,
dude.
Fucking backseat.
And it just, I mean, not only is the car just accelerating even more and more and more, but also seeing Jamie Foxx gain that confidence. It's literally seeing the transformation of like control and power. You know, we see Vincent start to squirm. We see Max feel like he's in control. It's like literally he's just draining it from him. Like the situational control of everything is insane, and he pulls the gun out, go ahead, shoot my ass. What are you going to shoot me? You going to kill us? Like, dude, he's fucking got everything he's got all the cards. But I love, Vincent
isn't logicking his way out of that. The only thing he keeps saying is, slow down, Max. He's not, this is the fundamental philosophies of the Eastern. You're like, no.
Right.
Just slow down,
all
please.
of that shit has abandoned you now, and it's fucking great.
Yeah.
And Max finally says, he finally said, go fuck yourself, and hits the median and flips the fucker over, dude. That's awesome.
The way the music just drops out, and you just kind of get that silence, and then like when it hits the barrier, oh, it's so good. I want to point out this where they actually are. So they're outside the Staples Center on Figueroa Boulevard. This is where, dude, the first time I visited the States, I went to LA. It was the first city I went to. And I stayed at the Hotel Figueroa. And the Hotel Figueroa is this hotel that you kind of see in the shots here where they've got these massive murals and these like three sort of like, it looks like pillars, but it's actually part of the building. It's kind of iconic, actually. It's actually in GTA 5.
Graffiti in LA is a cultural staple. Like, I'm not kidding.
I know, I do.
That's a
but
thing.
I walked along this road, like this is literally where this taxi crashes. This is where the shuttle bus from the airport dropped me off.
Oh shit! Wow,
it's
that's
fucking awesome. Like it's fucking crazy to see it all.
That's so cool.
To see it all again, man. Like, and this road where they're driving down at the time on Figueroa Boulevard, it was closed. I think they had the Oscars. It was during the Oscars, so like there was like a lot of like fucking press and shit like that. It was like completely closed off. But like, yeah, I just thought it was crazy, man. Like the time, like when I watched this again, I was just like, holy shit! I was like right there. But yeah,
Awesome.
man,
That's really cool. I'm moved.
it was fucking awesome, man. But Vincent, I like this little touch of like Vincent kind of like reaching through the barrier and just like continually hitting Jamie Foxx.
I'm almost with that stick. He's like,
yeah, he's just so furious. But they hear the cops. Vincent takes off. Literally just hoofs it.
Do you know, this probably happens like Simpsons, like Futurama kind of stuff. But you know the times where a camera pans over whenever something happens between these two characters, and it pans over to where you can't see one of the characters for a second, but when it pans back after something drastic's happened, that one character is like so unrealistically far away.
Yeah,
because
right.
It's like so
like the comedic effect. Yeah.
Like it's never in like, it's always like definitely like a fictional like comedy kind of thing, because there's just, it's impossible to move that fast unless you're Tom Cruise. And that brings me to my point is that he is gone.
He's just so like he's just fucking
the
vanished.
camera is like struggling to zoom in and keep focus to find him as he's rounding a building like a block and a half away.
You see the cinematographer like even confused, like he's just looking over to the right and left, panning over, like where the fuck is this guy?
I'm looking for this goddamn gray blur. Stop.
He fucking tapped into that fucking flash speed force and just took off, dude. I'm telling you.
That L. Ron Hubbard sport force.
It's weird.
Dude, this cop always annoys me. I don't know why. He's just so dopey. I don't know. Like it's
real cop in real life.
I fucking thought so. I don't know why. Like it's, I don't know. Like he's not a great actor.
I didn't know that Michael Mann was big for Miami Vice. Like I guess the original show of that. Because whenever I had looked into his stuff, I didn't even think about like TV. I always think that like if you did movies, you did movies for a long time. So, he actually did ride-arounds with that police officer, according to the commentary, for some of his ideas for, I guess maybe writing episodes of Miami Vice or how to direct them or the tone to kind of give them. So, I'd be pretty scary to be a police officer. I mean, try and see a wrecked car and then go into the trunk and just eerily discover a body staring at you.
See, I do have a question that made me realize, like, why didn't they dump the body? Like, why drive around with the body the entire night?
Because I think to Vincent, it's just like, fuck it, dude. I mean, they might as well. They're gonna find this dead guy in the cab. I mean, they're gonna.
Yeah, maybe there was. Do you think maybe in the beginning, whenever Vincent came outside, whenever Max was in shock because Ramon hit the taxi, do you think he was like looking around for cameras, thinking like, all right, well, if if it was impossible to catch him on camera dying right now, then I'm just never gonna let his body get seen for the rest of the night, and I'll just keep it in there.
Right? Yeah. It almost doesn't make any sense because it's like. They find all the other bodies, and he killed two guys, just, without discretion, in the middle of the street because they had his briefcase. Like,
yeah, but I don't think they ever connected taxis to any of those killings, so they didn't know like a mode of transportation. They probably didn't know like their plan. I don't know.
Right? I don't know. I'm
defending something that probably doesn't even need.
Yeah, it's like
it doesn't need that much attention, I guess.
The one thing that, and I don't want to go too far ahead, but it's my favorite shot of the entire movie. Is Jamie Foxx, after he handcuffs the cop, gets the gun. He's like, I'm going to whatever street it is that he says, he actually alerts the cops, send the cops. I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. He runs off. The shot of him running down the street because he's running towards you and then the camera just turns and he's running away from us. Oh, my God.
Just the way that captures nighttime.
Dude,
beautiful.
Nothing like it feels like I don't even know how to describe it. It's just
so Collin, if I can like interrupt you for like the 800th time, sorry. I feel like it's very reminiscent of to be like really mushy about it. Like it's probably very reminiscent of like our like probably friendship, right? Because every time we always hung out, we were like it was never like in the morning or anything. Like it was always like hanging out at night and staying up until like 4 or 5 in the morning.
Right,
so
and we would
giving it that type of feel in the movie is like really comforting.
Right, we would actually sneak into I was like, dude, if you'd seen my face, I was like, what in the fuck?
I was like, how could I resist?
Marvin Gaye on cue.
Yeah. When we were in high school, as a big group of us, we would always go out at night and go into this big giant wooden castle and play hide and go seek and have to hide from the cops and shit. But just that feeling of like the city lights, just that kind of low mist fog, kind of like almost like synthwave feeling. Like drown me in that shit like fucking goddamn pancakes, dude. Like I love that shit, dude. Like my nipples are so hard because like just that feeling of everybody else in the world being asleep and you're like one of the only ones up. Like that is such a crazy awesome
should
feeling.
I bring back the Marvin Gaye?
for maybe him, I don't know. My nipples don't. Yeah.
Let's
keep going.
Leave the
This
Marvin.
is really weird.
Leave the Marvin. Bring the Gay.
That's good. I like that. But then
if we ever start T-shirts, that maybe would fit on one, right?
This kind of starts this foot chase, this cat and mouse sequence of the movie. Man, This is great. So like the phone is dying. Like he's gonna get himself to the top of a car park to try and like get in contact with her. And meanwhile, Vincent's just in her building already. He goes to her office. She's not there. And dude, one of my favorite shots in the movie, you probably already know what it is. It's the scene, it's a shot of like Vincent in the foreground, and in the background you've got Max on the phone. Oh.
Right, talk about being like so like just like kind of like the scene with Ruffalo in the elevator. You're like that close. Everybody's so close to each other, like right there.
Oh, that's creepy.
It's good shit, man. But yeah, Vincent says that there's a line that's in use, and it's a couple of floors above him. And goddamn, he's so scary, man. I can't deal with him. But the phone cuts out, low battery, and I love when Max takes off and the music just like the drums come in. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. Cue 17-minute score.
Yeah, yeah. Well done, James Newton Howard. he's fucking
just drums, thriller drums. I want you to feel so anxious. Drums.
He's fucking tired by the end of it. He's like got fucking pit stains under his arms and shit. I'm done with this.
I can't beat these drums anymore. He's gotta say Annie 800 more times. Yeah. You gotta keep playing those drums. Annie.
He's going to run across half of LA to get to her. So you keep pumping, James Newton Howard.
He learned running from Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise just laps Jamie Foxx like several times as he's running.
He's like, I fucking beat you, bitch. But yeah, Cruise cuts the phone lines as she's calling the cops. So no cops. Do you like Max trying to get into the building with the bin?
Yeah, that is fucking hilarious, dude. That is really good.
Because I guess in Mac's situation, you don't really think about the gun first.
Right, yeah. It's not what he's used to. Yeah, it's not something that he's uses in his day-to-day life, you know?
Yeah. But, yeah, again, more cat and mouse stuff. You can kind of gloss over it. Vincent gets into the office and she's hiding. Vincent finally gets at a gunpoint and Max rocks up, and dude, the shall I say earshot?
Oh, dude, I don't want to go by though as she's crawling towards the door, and all we see on the opposite side of that is just that like kind of blurry silhouette of Vincent coming towards the door. Is like fuck, dude.
And the Panda Express to go.
Yeah, talk about your product placement.
Yeah. I love that this is taking place like on a high level floor, and like all you can see is just the buildings in the background, just the lights.
Mm-hmm. There is one shot of this though that fucking absolutely cracks me up, but it's just when stuff enters the frame, and it's when there's that we're on the windows and we're seeing the city outside, and Tom Cruise comes up from the bottom and his head is in frame. I fucking laughed out loud. I still laugh out loud. I've seen it, like I'm watching it just now, and I fucking barely held back because he just kind of like
it just slinks in.
Right. Edgar Wright's really big about that, of like bringing stuff into frame. It's a very comedic thing, and it always makes me crack up. And that's the first thing I thought of, as he was just like, like popped up. It kind of scared me.
There's a little touch that I really like when Jada's moving along the carpet. She's just like sliding her hands, like so she's not
trying to make a lot of noise.
Yeah, I like that little touch, man. But yeah, Max just fucking. I love that Vincent doesn't think that he's gonna do it. He's like, "Oh, what are you gonna do?" And then fucking bang.
Why? What are you gonna do about it?
Fucking underestimating him, dude.
It's great, man.
Something I loved about that reminds me about this now. Somebody did much better later. Was Sam Mendes? I'm pretty sure is who does it in Skyfall. Whenever Daniel Craig's wandering through that like Shanghai skyscraper, kind of like a cat and mouse searching for that assassin. Except in Skyfall, it's like beautiful, like it's an awesome scene to watch on.
You're
like,
talking about that shot with the silhouettes, right?
Huh?
You're talking about that shot with the silhouettes?
But there's also a lot of like neon signs in China and Shanghai that's reflecting, the windows inside that skyscraper in Skyfall. And I always thought that was cool. So when I rewatched this after seeing Skyfall, whenever that came out, hadn't rewatched this probably since then. I was like, oh man, that totally reminds me of that. And that is That's just an awesome shot.
It
Love
is.
it. Love it in both of them.
Skyfall's beautiful, dude. So this is going to be improvised, right? Like the Tom Cruise falling over the chair.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I was
It
reading
has
about
to be.
that. I was like, dude, it's
Okay.
but that's fucking Cruzo, man. You know, you might. It's kind of
Yeah.
like
Dude,
it's
good for him.
It's kind of like
I wouldn't have stood up immediately.
it's kind of like
It's
how
like it's like
Oh, go ahead.
it's like hey, Michael, is there any buildings I can jump off? And Michael's like, no. Oh,
just
okay.
sit
How
on this
about
office chair, Tom.
how-
Okay,
how about-
I'll
how
sit on two. One.
he's like, can I fucking smash this copier with my head? And he's like, no, Tom, you can't smash this copier
the
with
chair.
your head.
We talked about this. You can't keep calling me late at night. We're only gonna do the chair.
Fuck, I'm out here putting water on the streets so they look more slick, and you want me to do some weird stunt shit?
Dude, there's
Oh,
one
boy.
thing that I'm kind of curious about. You know, he, after the whole Tom Cruise office chair fiasco, when he chases, when they start going to the street, Max says no. They head towards the subway. Why do you think that Vincent stops and turns back around? What makes you? Because obviously because he's gotten into Max's headspace. Then he knows what he would do.
LA Transit's confusing as fuck, probably. I haven't been there, so we'll probably be able to maybe
it
testify
totally
to that.
is.
So really hard to tell, probably what sub he went into whenever he couldn't even see him. He lost track of him.
With your Colin, I think now after he's fucking realized that, hey, Max just shot me in the head, he's a bit more confident, and this is something that he might not do, and that's why he turns around and he's like, he probably went this way.
Right, yeah, because Max on the streets in a car is like, I mean, he's like fucking Mad Max, man. I mean, he's a fucking
Jesus.
road warrior, dude.
Oh Jesus! Oh my God!
Speaking of people that we don't like outside of their movies, Mel Gibson. But
How dare you? He's an Australian treasure.
The thing that I thought was,
Hey, I forgot to tell you guys earlier, he did a movie and he wanted to see if we wanted to interview
oh my God,
him for that.
is it called Road Warrior? No, I was gonna say I think that Vincent though is he knows, just in a way he's like, I mean, he knows that Max on those streets is, he knows his way around. So obviously, I think Max is trying to throw him off the scent, and he just kind of catches it. It's like if he's getting more bold and he's getting more confident, and he's starting to take these kind of like risks, it's a risk that he would take. And I think it's such a calculated move. I loved it, even though it's such a small thing. I just kind of played that out in my head of like what Vincent would do, what Max would do, and what their headspaces would be as with what they know about each other. I was like, it's great.
100%. 100%.
That's a great way to summarize that. Yeah, I'm watching it now, and there's so many times when he could have made a mistake. I mean, when the fact that he goes down to the first floor is the first thing. The fact that he goes to the MTA instead of running outside or whatever the transit station's called there, but
MTA.
the fact that he ran into down there instead of going up is another one. Then the fact that he happened to go to the same platform, that's like,
there is this ending sequence. There are two shots that are back to back. As a kid, I loved them, but now they're kind of goofy, and you can
Green screen.
probably know. It's the moment where the train passes and you see like Cruise kind of like a monster just kind of like slither up to the door.
Oh, never mind. that is a little
it's a little I don't need this, Michael.
Like you weren't that theatrical at all the whole movie until now.
I don't need this, Michael. And then immediately the shot following that, it's kind of this zoom to like Tom Cruise just like in the window of the door. And he's just like dead eyes staring straight, like a T-1000. It's weird. It's a little goofy, but I mean,
it's just fish eyes just staring right at you for like he doesn't even immediately open the door. But I guess maybe the other side of that would look really cheesy, where like he's like fiddling for the handle, but he's trying to stay like really still and menacing.
I mean,
he's just like, "Where the fuck is this handle at?" And then finally he gets the door up, and he's like, "And I'm moving stealthily."
Oh boy. One of the things I do like about this is how smart Vincent is. Like he knows there's a stop coming up, and he knows that hey, they're probably gonna fucking want to get out on this thing. But no, he fucking takes a step out, raises his gun like a fucking sentry, and he's probably gonna pick him off if they come out. It's crazy. It's good shit. but no one gets out. It's clever. I like it. And this is where we get the standoff. Talk to me. Someone talk to me.
I don't know how I feel about this.
I don't know either. That's why I asked.
Movie.
Yeah,
movie.
It's kind of, you just have to. Yeah, that's kind of like the craziest thing. Is it's one of those things, like when you're talking about the wonders of the universe, you're like, that's just one of those things we don't know. And there's times where movies do stuff and we don't really know how to explain it, and we just have to say, it's a fucking movie. And but there's sometimes, though. I mean, this is why we have a podcast, though, because there's sometimes, though, where that's just not acceptable. Like it's and this is kind of 50-50 one of those. I find it believable that that Max could very well kill Vincent. I don't know if it's just the luck of the shot or what, but I feel like Vincent, I mean, not that he's just an expert at shooting shit in the dark, I know he's not expecting for the lights to go off, but even then, I mean, he has some kind of general idea of where Max is. If Max can pop off a shot and kill Vincent, I don't see why. And I'm not saying it should be one of those cheesy, they both shoot each other and they both die kind of things, because that's just, I don't know, maybe in 2004 it wasn't done to death, but now I kind of feel like it's it's kind of a cop out. It's like, make a choice, stand by, kill one or kill the other. You can't have your cake and eat it too. And I think that scenario doesn't work, but I don't know if I love this. I think I almost would have preferred something where Max just pops up and bam, and that's it, and that's just the end of it. It's something that he doesn't see coming. But this whole chivalrous sitting down, like just sitting there and accepting what happens, I'm like, dude, I mean, you clearly see that Jamie Foxx is out of bullets. Reach down on the floor, pick the clip you dropped, load it back up, and shoot him, and just be like, fuck it.
Okay, see, that's funny because I don't like the standoff, but I like everything that happens after.
I like the way that they slowly reveal that.
Like he drops the clip, and then it's like he's been hit, but it doesn't show him being hit. It just shows like when he sits down, you kind of like see the bullet wound.
It's like right before that, you just barely see the outline of him as he's sitting down.
I love that.
It's like,
it's just the standoff that takes me away from it. But sitting down with it later, I'm like, okay, I don't mind this because it is kind of in character with Vincent. He's been bested. Yeah. He's not going to be a sore loser. He's just been bested.
I don't see him because at this point, Max doesn't have to die. Like in his mind, he's like, what's killing this guy going to do? Like,
right,
you know what I mean? Like,
it's just illogical.
The missions failed. Like, there's no coming back from this. I probably know because I think Vincent has military training, right? Like, he's got some kind of tactical training. Like, he probably knows he's gonna die. He's like, there's no point. Like, it's just done.
Well, he probably lost a lot of blood from his ear wound and probably a little bit lightheaded.
Yeah.
He's probably exhausted from running literally all day. And then
that's Tom Cruise.
I mean, he ran doing everything. He ran in place, probably going to the bathroom that day.
I like, I love his final line, which is something that he says earlier. Like, it was early in the movie, we went right past it. If a guy dies on the MTA, does anyone notice? Like, dude, it's just literally, it's kind of haunting, actually.
Dude, but the shot of Annie and Max, and they're looking over at Vincent, but we only see Vincent in the reflection behind the reflection of the window behind Max over to the right of his shoulder, and his head's just slumped down, is fucking great. There's actually a lot of really good reflection shots on this on the subway. It looks so fucking good. One thing that I thought would have been hilarious is after the scene, they're like, oh, it's a hell of a way to die. Jamie Foxx is like, what? And he's like, oh, so he just twisted his ankle on an office chair. It's terrible. Like, it ended up being the thing that kills him. It's like, man, this guy just ran himself to death. I don't know what happened. He has the most overdeveloped calf muscles I've ever seen in my life.
Jesus Christ, man. I think it's a good ending. I really like this ending. I like that it's kind of like, it's not a massive like shootout, car chase, explosion fest. It's a very somber ending, and I think there's really no other way that you can really end this.
It's very heat. It's very
very heat. Like the way the music swells, and
the light.
You're not gonna have any dialogue on the way out. Just them watching them walk and think.
Right. Yeah.
sometimes such a crappy mood to be in.
I think the lighting plays a big deal as well, because I mean that's literally what gives Pacino the jump on De Niro at the end of Heat, and he unloads on him. So this is another thing where instead of it's the lights turn up so Al Pacino can see De Niro's shadow. Here we have a reversal of that. We have the lights dropping down, which I mean I guess it kind of makes sense because Vincent, he's like, I can't shoot in the dark. It just went dark like that. But whereas Jamie Foxx is just fucking plugging at anything that's standing right there in front of him, it just kind of gave him, I guess, a slight advantage. But I think that I did think that was cool. I was like, it's kind of like the same thing, like you said. One starts at LAX, the other one ends on an MTA. The one starts on an MTA and ends at LAX. Like that's fucking cool.
Crazy.
Boom. So that's Heat.
Wow.
Did anybody else check that?
That's not.
Did you hear what I just said?
Yeah.
That's Collateral, bitches.
We wouldn't have been able to summarize a movie like Heat in 3 minutes.
No fucking way.
Did anybody?
That's like going to be a 3-part episode.
Did anybody catch one of the executive producers of this? One of like the biggest fucking names in my book.
I'm right there, and I paused it. I should have let it keep
fucking
going.
Frank Darabont.
Frank Darabont, yeah.
Dude, Frank Darabont did.
You guys going to tell me who that is?
Green Mile, Shawshank. He did like the first season of Walking Dead. He did The Mist. Like
he's pretty big.
God, I love Shawshank.
Dude, Frank Darabont in my eyes can do no wrong. I think he's fucking amazing.
He did The Mist. He's a very big Stephen King guy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're both really good friends. But, Danny, why don't we start with you? Why don't you tell us give us your closing thoughts about this?
Well, we beat this to death, I think, at this point, which is probably very normal for a movie that you're in love with. Ranking wise, I don't think I said this in the beginning. This is number 2 movie all time in my book.
Well, what's number 1?
You would probably guess it pretty.
I
think you would take 2 guesses.
Can I try and guess it?
Yeah, go for it.
But I don't have enough information about you. Shit, this is.
Well, then don't fucking offer it, dude. No, I'm just...
Can you give me a hint?
Are we wasting time with this shit?
Give me a hint. Just please. I'm curious.
It's very cliche, nerdy type of movie that would be a number 1.
Star Wars. Oh, Indiana Jones. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Well, Collin got it. Unfair advantage just being raised around me, but yeah. Specifically, though, which one?
Cool. Yeah, man.
Cool. But yeah, which one, though?
So it's not Raiders of the Lost Ark, it's Temple of Doom?
No.
Last Crusade.
No, I said it was Star Wars. You got it right in the first place.
I thought we were still talking about Indiana Jones. Because I
Empire.
Oh, fuck me. I did the Indiana Jones theme song, and you were like, oh, Collin got it right. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, it's Indiana
Jones? Nice.
No,
nice,
sorry.
Nice.
Get your theme songs right. Jesus.
Jesus.
No, one day you guys will learn about my number 1 Star Wars movie. We don't know which one it is yet, right?
All right. Well, yeah. So, Jesus. Collin, give us your final thoughts.
I like this movie a lot, especially, I only watched it for the first time today once. And then, we rewatched these again for the show while we're doing them. Oh
my God. Can I just interrupt you just quickly, Collin? Yep. In the credits, I'm in the credits, right? So, because the movie just finished. the muggers in the alleyway, they're credited as white guys.
Yeah, dude, one of them, I didn't know if you guys caught this. The one has like a fucking swastika tattooed under his eye.
Oh my God, of course he does.
That's one thing.
Of course he does.
That's one thing I will say about Michael Mann is the crime is, I don't know. I mean, his crime is so
surface
diverse.
level.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, like diverse because there's so much. We have, we have Latins, we have Koreans, we have Americans, we have like a lot of different stuff that are just kind of wrapped up together, like this plethora of stuff, which is crazy. It's kind of the same thing with Heat. We've got Danny Trejo, we've got Robert De Niro, like especially Al Pacino's crew in Heat. I mean, he's got like a black officer on there, a Native American. It was like the fucking Village People for a second. I was like, dude, he has like a cosmic array of like a racially diverse group of guys behind him, which I mean, I think is kind of cool. It's a little bit ahead of its time, but I like that it basically shows that crime and justice they just don't really play anything into that. It doesn't matter. You can be any kind of race and be on either side of this kind of like fight. It's not like the fucking Michael Bay racism kind of crazy shit that we were talking about last week, because I was kind of worried about that. I was like, I don't know, man. This thing might kind of play up on some, it's like it's around the same time as The Island and stuff like that. And I was like, nah. Luckily I was happily happily let down by that. But yeah, I like this movie a lot, and I'm really glad that I own it. I definitely want to buy it on Blu-ray because I've been building up like a Blu-ray collection now. They got to swap over all my shit from DVDs. But yeah, I'm super happy to have got this. Would like to see a lot more behind the scenes stuff behind it. And, I would love to see at least like a Robert De Niro test footage for this, because I wonder how much different this would be from him playing Neil McCauley. But yeah, I just because they are very similar characters, but there's just a little bit kind of separating them.
You told him to stick this yellow cap up his fat ass.
Yeah. You go in there, you tell him to shove this thing up his ass.
You talking to me? Sandler's there.
Yeah, right. I can't. I'm sorry, you guys can't hear how much I'm squinting my eyes right now.
Oh yeah, and your mouth is just kind of like lopsided.
Yeah, right.
Squinting.
I've got like this like permanent kind of frown. But yeah, I love this movie. Thank you guys for making me watch this. Thank you for also overhyping it. But at the same time, like now I can't. Now I've got it to a level where I'm like, you know what? I like this. I'm very glad that I own it. Definitely be watching it again.
Fucking fantastic, man. This is an outstanding movie. It's not my favorite. It's not even in my top 10. It's probably my top 20.
How do you in this stupid thing?
How do you sleep at night?
I'm not like that. Man, I don't care.
It is a fucking fantastic movie, man. Like whenever we cover a feature presentation, I always rent a movie on iTunes. I just fucking straight out purchased this because I realized I didn't have it on Blu-ray. Nice. So I was just like, I'm fucking buying it. Fuck this. An outstanding movie, man. Michael Mann's second best movie. And look, Michael Mann, when he makes a great movie, he makes a great movie. He definitely becomes like one of those directors that you definitely talk about that are in the running for like some of the best directors of all time, right? He's just got such a unique style about him. You can immediately tell, very much like Michael Bay, you can immediately tell that this is a Michael Mann movie. And I love directors that do that, directors that kind of like put their own little sort of secret ingredients into a movie and make it theirs. That's why I don't like Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott is just so hard to fucking pin down, that motherfucker. That's the story for another time. But one of the greatest. I think this is one of the greatest performances that Tom Cruise has given, man. Like this is.
Oh yeah.
This is outstanding. There's just so much more subtle stuff than you're initially aware of. Because when I was watching this as a kid, again, I was like, "Oh, cool! This guy's a cool hitman," and he like shoots people really well. Like you don't really look into the games that he's playing, the lies and deception that he's trying to do, like what his mission is, and how it kind of like plays into every conversation that he has with Max and every conversation that he has with everyone else, including like Max's mother, the witness who's into Miles Davis. Like it's just so well done. It's such a well written character. And dude, I'm so glad to have covered this with you, Danny. You brought so much insight to this movie. I really appreciate it, man.
I was just stealing shamelessly from a commentary anybody at home could probably.
Fuck it, man. Fuck it. You did the research. Like I said, man, we didn't. I didn't watch it with the commentary. I don't think Collin did either. So
no.
Yeah, we were just like, okay, cool. This guy's fucking done his homework. I guess we'll fuck off then. See ya.
It's probably one of the only movies I'll ever probably do that with.
Nice.
Honestly, just because I like
you hear that, audience? Nostalgia. It's all downhill from here.
I don't know what you guys are getting so excited about.
I will say the last thing that I want to say about this is that this thought just kind of hit me. Like a lot of people can make action, and a lot of people can make good action movies or bad action movies, but there's only so many people that could do crime well. And Michael
Yes.
Mann, it's Stephen King as to horror, Michael Mann has this crime kind of corner that he's just this empire that he's built. I mean, with Heat alone, but then you come out and release something like Collateral and the other films that he's done, he's just dug such a great niche in there. And I don't think there's really anybody who does crime as well as he do, or has dug out the fact that they can stay in a genre like that and it doesn't get that repetitive. Look, yeah, Heat and Collateral have a lot in common, but they have a lot that's not in common at the same time. And I fucking love that. So yeah, I'm super excited to actually rightfully cover Heat and stop talking about it in this episode. But until then, do you guys have anything else you want to add?
No, I'm good, man. It was fucking great covering this episode. Great to have Danny on.
Yeah, right, Danny.
Thanks for
anything?
having me, everybody. Yeah, no, I don't have anything else to say.
Awesome.
We're ready.
Well, if you guys want to check us out, you can always find us on Facebook at Midnight Double Feature. There's also a group that's connected with that called the After Party. That's all one word. Everybody's welcome to come and be a part of that. We just released all of our new artwork, kind of revamping things. We've got a website in the work as well. And today, actually, we just did an interview with Eric Johnston and Evan Coons from Camp Mana. So that was really exciting. That was kind of our first interview. It's a funny movie. It was great to have them on. You can also find us on Instagram at Midnight Double Feature. We're also on Twitter at MDF Pod, or at MDF Pod. However the kids are saying, I don't know. I just fucking don't use Twitter. I actually downloaded the app the other day and I was like, how do you use this fucking thing? But we're also on YouTube if you guys want to find us there. And as always, we're on pretty much all of the major podcasting apps. And if not, we're also on Spotify as well. So don't fucking make any excuses. Check us out. Let us know what you think. Rate and review us on iTunes or anywhere else where you listen to your podcast. And until then, we will talk to you guys later.